Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, late afternoon. It is your boy Louis Sports Network, man, back with another one. So I'm back with another live stream with yet another video. And in this video, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys can see in the thumbnail, I know you guys have been waiting patiently, decided to do some basketball, want to know how everybody's doing. It is LeBron versus Giannis Antetokounmpo. Who is the real MVP? Who is the real MVP of the basketball world for the 2019-2020 season? So before I get started, make sure you guys again smash the like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as you guys come in. So we're gonna do a couple of things, and before we get started, and I'm gonna invite a couple of people to try to give their opinions on the MVP. So we are gonna do that, but I just want to get some things out the way first. Again, make sure you guys smash the like button, hit that subscribe as you guys come in. Any donations, you could put it to the PayPal. You also can cash at me as well. So I want to see who is in the building. Let me know who is in there. I see G Money says that you should make this a live stream so we can speak on our opinions. G Money, that was the whole point that I made for the LeBron versus Giannis. Anyway, shout out to you as always. But the first thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I want to get some information out of the way when it comes to this MVP talk. And then definitely I will invite some people to give their opinions on the MVP. And when you give your opinion, you have to make a case as to why that player is the MVP. And then once you make the case for those players, I'm going to ask, what other players do you believe should be in consideration for the MVP, even though that the media wants to make this a two-man race? So before we get started, once again, make sure y'all smash the like button. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hope everybody is safe. For people who are working outside, hope you guys have been able to, stay safe with the conditions, keeping your social distances, because I know the COVID-19 has got people going crazy. So again, man, hope everybody is doing a great job. So make sure you guys are safe out there. G Money said that Giannis should be the MVP, no doubt about it. He's averaging 30 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. Okay, so you give me numbers, but obviously it's got to be a little more than that. All right, so once we get started, here we go. So what I'm going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to go to an article. I'm going to go to a couple of articles. I'm just going to go to an article and I'm going to read real quick. So this is about Charles Barkley. All right. He basically says that he blasts NBA commentators for saying that LeBron James should win the MVP over Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, here's the thing. I said that the reason that LeBron was going to win, as Skip Bayless said, was going to be off of narrative. See, that was the reason that LeBron was going to win. It wasn't just because of numbers. It was going to be off of narrative. Now, watch what Charles Barkley says right here. It says he blasts the commentators for saying LeBron James should win the MVP over Giannis. And I'm going to read this really quick. So it says, Charles is a man with opinions. Okay. He feels that Giannis is of the Milwaukee Bucks should clearly win the 2020 NBA Most Valuable Player Award. And he also said he's not happy that anyone with a platform is saying otherwise. Rachel Nichols, which is one. And then you have Mike Greenberg, that's two. And then you have Jorge Sedano is three. And then you also have Doris Burke, that's four. Doris Burke, who I have a lot of respect for, but she's pushing LeBron's MVP case off of sheer stupidity. Also, come on, let's be honest. After the game, Jorge Sedano, when LeBron, he had just beaten, him and the Lakers had just beaten the New Orleans Pelicans with Zion. He says, in my opinion, I believe you should be the MVP. Do you know who he works for? Do you know what game that game was televised in? Come on. You already know that network is behind LBJ. Then on top of that, then you have, oh my goodness, Mike Greenberg, who went on not only Get Up, but then he went on also First Take. And he basically made his case as to saying that it is his goal. Did y'all hear this? I'm going to say this again. It is his goal. It is his goal for LeBron to be the MVP. It is his goal for LeBron to be MVP. You're telling me that that's not off a media-driven narrative right there? Come on. Come on. He said it's his goal for him to be the MVP. And Jalen Rose had to check him and say that we don't want this to be about narrative. We want this to be about basketball. Okay? So I give LeBron James all the credit in the world. He is having a great season in his 17th year. He's averaging, 25 points, 7, 8 rebounds, and he's leading the league in assists at over 10 in his 17th year. I get all that, but it's like, why is it that I told you, I'm going to save it, my reason, because it's just more than narrative. But I'm going to save my reason as to why. This guy is being pushed to win the MVP over Giannis Antetokounmpo, and my MVP is Giannis Antetokounmpo. But it says in a radio interview with Dan Le Batard, it starts about 20 minutes in. Barkley, and also get well, Charles, because I know that he has not been feeling well, and he's been tested for the coronavirus, but for some reason we haven't found out if he has it or not. And I don't mean to say that, but again, COVID-19, because that's what it is. But so it says he ranted about the idea that LeBron should be the MVP. He took shots at fellow television analysts for using James's season with the Lakers to manufacture a two-person race, which is why I'm going to go deeper into this live stream, and we're going to talk about other possible MVP candidates as well, even though the focus has been about Giannis and LeBron. So he says Giannis is the runaway MVP. I wouldn't say runaway just because of the fact that LeBron had beaten both the Bucks and the Clippers. It kind of made the race a little bit. It kind of pushed the MVP in his favor. Sometimes it's always those key games and key matchups that always kind of pushes MVP sometimes in the favor. But the always key thing about when you're an MVP, it's, you got to do this from start to finish. So, and again, I'm going to go into detail with that. And again, guys, smash the like button and hit the subscribe and make sure you guys share. So it says Barkley took issue with one line of argument in particular. He says that Antetokounmpo's accomplishments aren't as special because of the Bucks' competition. He said that if LeBron was still in the Eastern Conference, playing with a supporting cast like Antetokounmpo's, a bunch of nobodies, in Charles's estimation, which is an entirely different discussion, and his team was dominating the league, he would misstate Milwaukee's 53-9 record as 59-8 and 59-6. But that's neither here nor there. So nobody would be trying to diminish it by saying that he's doing it in the inferior conference. So yes, the West is a little bit watered down than in years past, but it is still the stronger conference over the East. The East have 6 teams that have well above 30 wins, well above, okay? The last 2 spots, not so much, okay? So, and the Grizzlies are 32 and 33. So you put them in the Eastern Conference, they're what, 6th, possibly? Or maybe just in between 6 and 7, So again, here's what Barkley says. He says, you've got these fools. Again, guys, smash the like and hit the subscribe, and I'll check the chat in a bit. And like I said, I'm going to send an invite to anybody who wants smoke with this LeBron versus Giannis MVP debate. So he says, you got these fools, idiots, and jackasses on TV. Barkley says to Le Batard, listen, LeBron is amazing, but what Giannis is doing is incredible, which I agree. And we can give LeBron love because he's an amazing dude, amazing man, and a great, great player. But the thing is, when they're trying to say is, well, the MVP race is close. Let me tell you something, Dan, if LeBron was back in Cleveland playing with a bunch of nobodies, like the LeBron fanboys always like to make, he was 59-6. No matter how good a year everybody else was having, nobody would be saying, oh, no, man, maybe somebody else should win MVP because he plays in the Eastern Conference. And that's total BS. And it makes me mad because I'm not like these other people. When somebody tells me something on TV, I'm not like, well, it must be true. This dude said it. Oh, well, because this guy says he's the MVP or she says he's the MVP. Well, it must be true that LeBron's the MVP. No, you have to look at stats and you have to look at context. So stats will tell you truth, but it won't tell you the whole story. That's the old saying, right? So I'm actually watching the games. Again, it comes down to the eye test. What Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks are doing is incredible. And if that man gets screwed out of the MVP because everybody wants to swing it on LeBron James, it's going to really piss me off. And here's the thing. Again, I'm going to give my opinion. Let me just finish this little quick one. So he says in the interview, he didn't specify which analyst annoyed him, but I'm pretty sure he probably knows who. He's just not going to say who it is. He's not going to call him out on TV, even though Charles is known to be outspoken. But there are 2 obvious suspects, both of whom were on national TV on Monday making the case that James, not Antetokounmpo, should win the award, and both brought up the conference disparity. Mr. Kendrick Perkins, you got to understand something. He's going to cap for his boy LeBron like he caps for his boy Russ. He played with both of those guys. And remember, he was LeBron's personal bodyguard in the 2018 Cavs. I mean, like I said, he was keeping Drake at bay when he was in the 6. And like I said, he averaged 80 claps a game on the bench for LeBron. So he was really productive. So when LeBron was in the East, the whole thing was that, oh, he's in the East, so we robbed him. Well, I wouldn't say robbed him, but he lost out on 4 MVPs when he returned back to Cleveland. Can somebody tell me which 4 years LeBron should have won the MVP award according to Kendrick Perkins, that he was robbed of 4 MVPs? Really? This is what I'm talking about. And notice that Kendrick Perkins is another personality who just happens to be working on the network, right? During that time, those MVPs went to Western Conference players. Am I correct? Because they were making the noise in the West. Steph Curry, they had a 73-19. So whatever, he interjects and KD won one of whatever, right? Well, KD won his in 2014, right? So we're gonna get into the debate in a second, guys. And I'm just reading the article, and then, like I said, I'm gonna interact with you guys. So here's my thing: why are we not keeping the same energy for Giannis? He's in the East. The East is weaker. I'm sorry. I think the East improved as LeBron left, because he had a stranglehold on the East for 8 straight years, as people claim to be, but it's like never mentioned the teammates that he's played with, and never mentions that his team was the most talented in that conference. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of 30 and 40 win teams LeBron has gone against. And we're not even counting the days in Cleveland, but that's neither here or there. So there's no LeBron James, no Kawhi Leonard. Why is the argument not the same? Now here it is. LeBron takes his talent to the Western Conference. His team is number 1 in the West. You see, this is my problem right here. He takes his talents to the West, but did people forget what happened last year? Even if you talk about the injuries to Lonzo, to Kuzma, to Brandon Ingram, to JaVale McGee, to Tyson Chandler, to Rondo, notice how I mentioned all those guys, right? But remember, they said LeBron could turn any team into an instant winner, right? He played 55 games in the Lakers with 28 and 27. When those guys got injured when LeBron had his groin injury, they had more than enough time to make the playoffs, more than enough time. They went 4-16 with LeBron when he came back. So you can mention all the injuries you want, but remember, people have said LeBron is a leader and he could pretty much do anything, that he's that good. When he didn't get it done, all the excuses started to come in. And those are just facts, okay? So I don't want to hear it. So it says, why is the, where is it? Okay, so Colin Cowherd, one of LeBron's biggest fans, I should say. He goes, let me ask you this. LeBron James is the number 1 seed in the West, which is significantly better than being the number 1 seed, Giannis, in the East. Does that matter? And LeBron is doing this, in my opinion, with the least talented roster, 1 through 8 or 9 than Milwaukee. How is he not the MVP? Now, I understand why Frank Vogel and Anthony Davis would say why LeBron's the MVP. Frank's his coach, and Anthony Davis is his teammate. So I understand that. So it says that Frank Vogel, not an unbiased observer, also recently argued in favor of LeBron. Of course he is. It's not even debatable. Vogel told reporters Thursday when asked if the 35-year-old was having an MVP-type season. Vogel declined to talk specifically about Antetokounmpo, but said definitely that he believes James should win. The body of work that he puts forth for our team. You know what's so crazy also? The media has made it because they think because he's in his 17th year that all of a sudden, shout out to Anthony L in the building, that all of a sudden, because he's in his 17th year, that, oh yeah, you know, that he deserves to be the MVP because he's contributed to 17 years of NBA productive service. What? Get out of here. So look at it this way. So he also says, there's a lot of great performances throughout the year with other players, so I don't want to take anything away from anybody else, but it's pretty unbelievable what he means to us on both sides of the ball. Last time I checked, Anthony Davis changed the defensive makeup on the team, and Dwight Howard is a former 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. But you know, I'm not saying nothing. His defensive IQ, the way he impacts the game with his strength, athleticism, scoring the ball. Shout out to Anthony L. Scoring the ball the way he does, but also leading the league in assists. And the most important stat is how much we're winning. So to me, it's his, and it's that simple. It's crazy how a lot of these guys can get their numbers without LeBron, but apparently he's making them better. But he couldn't do that with young players, which has never been his MO. Vogel is right that James is having an MVP caliber season, but while I often disagree with Barkley, I think the rant was mostly on point. With 6 weeks left, it's difficult to construct an evidence-based case that James, while unprecedented for a player his age, has been better than Antetokounmpo's, unless you take Milwaukee's success with Antetokounmpo on the bench as a damning on its franchise player. The East versus the West argument would be more compelling if Antetokounmpo's Bucks were not 19-4 against the West, with a plus-minus of 9.4 rating. And if his stats weren't almost identical against Eastern and Western Conference teams, Antetokounmpo has actually scored more on a per-minute basis and shot a better percentage from 3 against the West. Antetokounmpo and his team are having a regular season for the ages. He has meaningfully improved after winning his first MVP, which is actually facts. And the Bucks have been so ridiculously good that they've only needed him for 30 minutes a game. James is somehow still finding new ways to impress, and maybe he'll close the gap by thoroughly outperforming Antetokounmpo down the stretch. That's still at least theoretically possible. For now, I anticipate that Barkley will ultimately be pleased with how the race turns out. Oh, almost forgot. The Bucks visit the Lakers at 10:30. This was at the time of March 6th. But you get my point what Charles Barkley is saying, correct? Correct. Right? So that's what I'm talking about. So shout out to Anthony L, who says what's good, and he says what's good to the chat, and he says the narratives. Exactly. This is what this is about. It's all about the narratives. Okay? So once we get to that, we get back to that race. Okay. So I'm going to ask again, who in your opinion, guys, is the MVP? Who in your opinion is the MVP? And make your case as to why that person deserves to be the MVP. I want to hear it in the comment section. So again, guys, make sure you guys smash the like button and make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. I also left the PayPal. I left the PayPal right there in the chat. I also left the Cash App. Also, if you guys want to donate, it's up to you. You don't have to, but you definitely are more than welcome to donate. So here's my case for Giannis winning the MVP. Number one, Giannis is not playing with a dominant player. He has a very good team around him, and the Bucks are a deep team. But remember, they depend on Giannis Antetokounmpo. They depend on him. That's number one. Number two, Chris Middleton is an all-star, and yeah, he's averaging 21 points a game because that's what the fanboys will use as their argument as to say, well, he has another all-star around him. But the question is, yeah, he's an all-star, but is he a dominant player? Comparing him to Anthony Davis is apples to oranges. Anthony Davis is the more dominant player. First of all, he's giving you steals. He leads the team in steals. He leads the team in blocks. He leads the team in rebounds. And he leads the team in points. Those are 4 categories. The only thing that LeBron is leading the category in on the Lakers is assists. Last time I checked, 4 beats 1. 4 beats 1. LeBron may be valuable, of course. And I'm not saying that LeBron is not a valuable player to the Lakers. But I'm telling you that the fact that, listen to me, if Steph Curry and Kevin Durant could not win MVPs because they were on the same team because they had Draymond Green and they had Klay Thompson, look at Draymond Green right now. Everybody's saying that Draymond Green is nothing but overrated. All he does is run his mouth. But when it comes to LeBron James, it's because they had Draymond Green that Kevin Durant nor Steph Curry could win the MVP. Neither one of them could win. This is where I'm going to do even more exposure. Do y'all remember 2013 when the 1 vote went to Carmelo Anthony? And Kevin Durant averaged 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50, 40, 90. And he led the Oklahoma City Thunder to the best record in the Western Conference, a 60-win team. Do people forget that? And what's crazy was James Harden was no longer an Oklahoma City Thunder. He was a Houston Rocket. But see, that's just something nobody mentions about. And LeBron won the MVP in 2013. As a matter of fact, why is it that LeBron James won back-to-back MVPs with Wade and Bosh as your co-star, but nobody else can do it? Steph Curry can't do it because he has Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant can't do it because he got Steph Curry. Both of those guys were able to win MVPs one or the other, but because of their history, because Kevin Durant has an MVP, Steph Curry's got 2 MVPs, you put 3 MVPs on one team. See, and that's my point. And that's the problem. The media continues to make more narratives as to why other players don't deserve it but LeBron James and why it's unfair. And that's what I'm talking about. See, why does it make it fair all of a sudden because of that? And that's what I'm basically saying. So again, guys, continue to smash the like button and continue to hit the subscribe. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Middleton is not a dominant player. Look at Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe does disappearing acts in the playoffs. He doesn't shoot the ball consistently. See, he gets going when he drives to the basket and plays on the fast break, but he's not a half-court player. Neither is Chris Middleton. He's not as dominant when Giannis is off the floor. He's not a guy who is somebody who could create their own shot, even though Middleton has made 2 All-Star teams. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, that's a different story. Also, if you look at the Lakers, they have Dwight Howard. Their front line is one of the best in the NBA. The Lakers as a team, they lead the league in block shots. They lead the league in block shots. Okay? So they're one of the better interior defensive teams. Milwaukee. And the thing is also, Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard have impacted the Lakers on the defensive end. Dwight when he comes off the bench, and then Anthony Davis in the starting lineup. LeBron is playing better defense because of Anthony Davis. LeBron has not made Anthony Davis a better defender. Again, guys, smash the like, hit that subscribe. So like I said, when you have a player that's leading your team in points, rebounds, blocks, and steals, and the quote-unquote best player in the world at 35 years old in his 17th year is leading your team in assists because he's the quote-unquote point guard, well, here's another stupid narrative. LeBron James has been playing point guard pretty much just about his entire career. So all of a sudden, he's just happened to lead the league in assists, but he's gotten you 7 assists. He's gotten you 8.5 assists. He set the record for most assists on average by a small forward in a season. So it's like, when I keep hearing this stuff, it's like, why is it that the media makes it sound like he's doing it in his 17th year and he's 35? But here, this is the real reason why LeBron is being pushed to win the MVP. Y'all ready to hear this? Here we go. MJ, Kobe Bryant. MJ and Kobe. Here's the reason why. Kobe Bryant, what team did he play for? The Los Angeles Lakers. What happened to Kobe? He passed away in a helicopter crash, along with his beautiful daughter. Both of them rest in peace, and rest in peace to the other 7 victims that were involved in that helicopter crash. This death has put so much weight on the Lakers that the media is going to use that as a launching pad for LeBron to win the MVP. Because of what LeBron has had to deal with and what the Lakers, they're making it seem like Kobe played for the Lakers, but the thing is, Kobe had a large influence on not just the basketball community, but the world community as well. He's influenced so many athletes that are international players, okay, in other sports. Kobe has influenced a lot of people. He's influenced women. For somebody who people continue to call a rapist, and look how much he supports women, and look how much a lot of women talk great about him, except for the ones that are just jealous and bitter because they only view Kobe from that side of the floor, from that perspective. They just look at him as somebody who doesn't respect women, that he's a rapist and all this kind of stuff. But look how he influenced, and then look at that. Now all of a sudden, they want to use his name in vain to push this guy to be the MVP. And what does that tell you? That the media has never or will ever care about Kobe Bryant. They never will. So, and when I look at Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's doing more with less. He's having an impact on both ends of the floor. And the funny thing is, his numbers, they're beast. He's putting up beast historic numbers. His numbers are better than his MVP season, ladies and gentlemen. So they've been that good. And so I keep asking myself, why is it that, we got 7 people watching right now, but we only got 3 likes. Come on, let's continue to get the likes up. Let's continue to get more people watching. We are doing an MVP debate between LeBron and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, guys, continue to smash the like and continue to hit the subscribe button. We need more people in the building. Anthony, let me know if you're still there. G Money, let me know if you're still here. As I continue to talk, but that's the problem. Kobe Bryant is being used as a pawn, basically, for LeBron James's MVP case. That's why they're never going to let Kobe rest. And that's what has the media so jealous. Then on top of that, then you got Michael Jordan. Why am I saying Michael? Well, let's see. Let's go back to the 1998 season. Michael's last year before he ended up playing for the Wizards a few years later. How old was Michael Jordan in his last year? He was 34, turning 35. LeBron, 34, turning 35. Michael Jordan led the league in scoring at age 35. While LeBron James is not doing that, he's 35 years old. Michael Jordan won the MVP at age 35. The media is pushing LeBron to win the MVP at age 35 so he could join Michael Jordan. Here's the difference. LeBron James wins it at age 35 in his 17th season. They're going to say, well, and this is, they keep pushing him for Jordan. And this is why LeBron can't be better than Jordan, because they keep trying to compare him and trying to see if he can surpass Jordan. That just tells you that Jordan is still the greater player. If the media is pushing every single day to tell us that LeBron James is the greatest thing ever since sliced bread, as amazing as LeBron is he really that good? See? And it just lets you know. And look at these sports shows, guys. Skip Bayless this morning is complaining about how devastated that he is that he's not been able to watch sports. Yeah, because now all these networks can't push their agenda. First Things First wasn't on today. First Take, I think, was the only show that was on today. That was the only show that was on today. All right, shout out to Anthony L. I'm still here. Anthony L., let me know if you want to join me in the, I don't know if you're busy or not, but I want to know if you want to be able to join me. I can send you an invitation so that you could come on and, get your insights on this MVP race. And then I'm also going to talk about more people, more players that are more deserving. And I'm actually going to put the thumbnail up as to who could be. And this is something that I wish that the league would get to, eventually someday. But again, we continue to smash the like, continue to hit the subscribe, as you guys come in. And I see that we got 5 people liking, we got 7 people watching. But again, let's continue to smash the like and hit that subscribe. So getting back to what I was saying, yeah. Then Michael Jordan made first team All-NBA at age 35. And it looks like LeBron is possibly going to make first team All-NBA at age 35. But no one has ever done it in their 17th season. You see how they keep pushing the number 17 so much for LeBron James. This is what they're going to do to try to push his case for the MVP even more, disrespecting what Giannis is doing with the Bucks. Then you have the fact that Michael made first team All-NBA defense at age 35. See? But yet LeBron had to recruit Anthony Davis to be able to possibly play, right? See, this is what I'm talking about. So when you have another top 5 dominant player, see, this would help his case had KD or Steph Curry been an MVP. But see, if he's allowed to win an MVP with Wade and Bosh, and then if he's allowed to win an MVP with Anthony Davis being one of the top 5 dominant players in the game, then what does that tell you about the media? What does that tell you about the league? That they're clearly biased, okay, toward as to who they want as their favorite to be the MVP, right? And so Anthony L. also says, he says Jordan didn't have to recruit Hakeem at 35 to win the way LeBron had to recruit AD. I mean, Anthony L. just showed you right there in that comment. It's true. It doesn't matter what anybody says. It's the truth. All right. So I'm going to send the invite and I'm going to put it in the chat. Going to put it in the chat right here to come on board. And we definitely can have this talk. And, I'm super excited, that we continue to talk about this to, expose these narratives, about LBJ being the MVP. I mean, because it's getting really ridiculous of how much these guys are trying to push it. Doris Burke, Rachel Nichols. I mean, Rachel Nichols told Draymond Green, guys. She told Draymond Green one time when she was interviewing him when he was sitting on the desk on the jump. She says, I think that LeBron should win because of the death of Kobe Bryant. Why does Kobe's name have to be in your mouth for the case for LeBron to win an MVP? Isn't LeBron supposed to be the greatest player? Why does the greatest player of all time in your eyes, in the media's eyes, have to get pushed because of Kobe's death? Because remember, Kobe is not a great player, talking about you guys. All right, so G Money, I know that you're listening and I know that you're in the chat. So I need you to listen and I need you to listen well. What we're going to do is we're going to continue to, and first of all, shout out to you. And make sure that we're listening right now, because what we're going to do is, getting back to Jalen Rose over here, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you the question, who do you think is the MVP? I know you already said your answer, but I want you to make your case very strongly as to why. And we're going to listen, and we're going to make sure we're in the chat. Hopefully people will pretty much listen. And also, again, guys, make sure to smash the like and the subscribe, and make sure that you give a legitimate case. Give me a legitimate case as to why. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome my guest, G Money. How is everything with you? How are you dealing with this whole COVID-19 situation? And how's your Monday going for you, bro?
Monday's going fine with me. I'm happy. I mean, I'm sad that sports are being postponed or canceled because of the COVID-19 situation going on. But for the MVP race, I think it's Giannis because not only is he putting up the stats, you can see he's becoming more stronger when he goes to the paint. He's allowing his teammates to feel more comfortable under him. And besides, Milwaukee's 53-12. And remember, they started the season 55-0 without Giannis, and then they lost the last 3 games I think to Indiana, um, Phoenix, and Denver without him. With If you take LeBron away from the Lakers, you still got an MVP candidate player, Anthony Davis, who won a series in 2018 against Portland without DeMarcus Cousins at the time. And you still have veterans like Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, etc. that can still contribute. So I think Giannis should win MVP because his team is less talented, less experienced. And look, Chris Middleton is a good player, but he's not going to carry you consistently like what Anthony Davis can do because AD is more skilled, AD is more finesse. Middleton is a good player, but he's really inconsistent at times.
Exactly. And I agree with you, G Money. And I'm also going to say this, and I'm actually going to ask you this question. Why do you think that Anthony Davis doesn't get mentioned as an MVP candidate, especially considering the fact that he's in the running for Defensive Player of the Year? Your thoughts?
The narratives. That's what I'm saying. Just look at Anthony Davis this year so far. AD is leading the Lakers in scoring, averaging 27. He's giving you 9 rebounds per game, which is low, but still 9 rebounds is good. 3 assists per game, and he's blocking 2 shots per game, and he's shooting 51% from the field, which is really high, and 34% from downtown, and 85% at the line. And his effective field goal percentage is 54%. And he's been healthy this year, 55 games. LA is 49-14. So I'm just saying that Anthony Davis is not being mentioned because the narratives to think that LeBron could just fix every team and make them a title contender. Look, LeBron's an amazing player, but he did recruit Anthony Davis to help him win. Like that's what I'm saying. AD is an MVP candidate player. That's what I'm saying. Anthony Davis had a marvelous season. He's been healthier this year, and he's been dynamic in the post. He's finessed his game a little bit. He's more dynamic in the post now. He's more stronger to the rim. He can hit that outside touch. He can block shots at the rack, and his 3-point shot is improving though. So I'm just saying that maybe it's why AD's not being mentioned is because of the narrative, the thing that LeBron could just fix every team, make them more of a title contender. And I don't think that's fair to AD, who I think is. You want to hear my top 5 MVPs right now?
Not yet, not yet. We're going to save that for a little bit later on. So right now I'm just focusing on LeBron and Giannis, and then we're going to focus on Anthony Davis, and then I'm gonna when I put the thumbnail up, that's when we're going to talk about the top 5 MVPs, and then we could get into that. But just continue. But you finished on your point on AD.
Oh, almost forgot. Like I said, 87 a marvelous year, and he should get more respect. But the media doesn't want to do that. It's crazy. I'm done.
Okay, exactly. So here's my point. First of all, you can tell that Anthony Davis has a mindset of a beta just when you're listening, because and here's the thing, he's going to be biased because LeBron is on his team. If he tries to step on any toes when it comes to LeBron James, you know that his media fanboys and then basically his fan base are all going to get on Anthony Davis at some point. And they're going to start calling him a bunch of names. And they're going to just basically say that you're lucky that you're playing with LeBron. That you're fortunate when people forget what LeBron didn't do last year. Because remember, he's supposed to make you a title contender the minute that he comes to your team, because the argument is anywhere he goes, he makes you an instant winner. He can get you 50 games easy, forgetting that his first 15 years in the league, he spent it in the Eastern Conference. The first 15 years. So apparently LeBron makes Anthony Davis a much better player. Here's where I'm going to expose that right now. Maybe when it comes to winning, Anthony Davis hasn't been able to do much, and he's only gotten the Pelicans in the playoffs twice. But let's take a look right now. So LeBron James has made a player better in Anthony Davis. Let's see. Because remember, they also said that Anthony Davis has never played more than 70 games without LeBron James. But let's see. So if we go to his first year, he only played 64 games and he started 60. He averaged 13 points and 8 rebounds. Okay, about 2 blocks. Then we go to the next season, 20 points and 10 rebounds. Okay, the next season, 24 points and 10 rebounds. That was the year they played the Warriors in the first round. That was the 2015 Golden State Warriors. Okay, 2016, 24 points and 10 rebounds. So we got already 3 straight seasons of 20 and 10 from year 2 to year 4. Okay, let's go to the 2017 season. 28 points and 11.8 rebounds. So 28 and 12 with 2.2 blocks per game. And G-Money, take a look at this. He played 75 games that year.
He was healthy. And 18 too.
Okay, and then in 2018, he averaged 28.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, 2.6 blocks, which actually led the league. So the statistics in black, when it's bold black, it basically means he led the league that year. So he led the league in blocks 3 times. And then, so 28 and 11, oh, look at that. He played 75 games the very next year. And that was when they lost to the Golden State Warriors, and that was when DeMarcus Cousins had injured his Achilles, right? Then the next year, 25 points, and I know he played 56 games. It was injuries, and it was the whole trade block situation. 25 points, 12 rebounds, averages 2.4 blocks per game. 25 and 12. But notice, this year his rebounds are down because he had averaged 10 or more rebounds in 6 straight seasons, and 12 rebounds was a career high. This season, they're below 10, but he's still giving you 2.4 blocks per game. And let's see. So he led the league in blocks 3 times. He's a 6-time All-Star. He's averaged 10 rebounds 6 years in a row. He averaged over 2 blocks for the 7th straight year. But for some reason, LeBron is making him a better player.
It's crazy how people can be so simplistic. Anthony Davis improved his game. He's averaged 2 blocks his entire career, because in his rookie year, he averaged 1.8 blocks. So if you rounded, in his entire 8-year career, it's 2 blocks. And also the fact that even his assist numbers are improving a little bit. He started from 1 assist in his rookie year into 4 assists last year and 3 assists this year. So AD's really improved his game, really made it more complete. Look, I understand AD couldn't win in New Orleans, but you know how LeBron fans always give LeBron a pass every time he loses because the quote-unquote crappy supporting cast? What supporting cast did AD have in New Orleans? You know what I mean? The second best player was Drew Holiday, and he's an okay player, but he's inconsistent though. Like Boogie Cousins was beasting, but he was hurt though in the 2018 regular season. So it's like AD never had a legit supporting cast to help him compete, you know? And he played against the Warriors twice. Like, you can't really kill AD for not going far in the playoffs, you know?
Here's another thing. They make LeBron's excuses of playing the Warriors when they play in the NBA Finals. Anthony Davis had to play the Warriors in the first round, the first time they played, and then in 2018, they had to play in the second round. It wasn't like he met the Warriors deep in the playoffs. So he didn't meet him in the Western Conference Finals for a chance to go to the finals. That's what people forget too. So he was facing the Warriors early while LeBron got to face him late. So what does that tell you about the Eastern Conference? Once again, and I said that the East has been weak for a very, 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 very long time. And people just, again, don't want to understand that the East has been weak for a while. And the East has gotten slightly better since he's left, because LeBron's teams have been the most talented in the Eastern Conference. I'm not going to say until they face Kevin Durant and Golden State in 2017 and 2018, because he was that weapon in that mismatch. But I still am going to say that his teams were talented to go to the finals up until 2018. But I'm going to say that again, that was much more, that was an excuse for him to leave because he was planning to leave Cleveland already.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, his first roster was actually good enough to compete against the Warriors because they had some dogs. It's just LeBron failed as a leader when
Mm-hmm.
things went sour,
Mm-hmm.
because LeBron even said it himself. He's comfortable at being uncomfortable. So basically, when adversity hits, you are supposed to be able to try to rise to the occasion. And look, LeBron has risen to the occasion when he's faced adversity in his career. But when he doesn't want to face adversity, knowing that he wants the easy way out, that's when LeBron doesn't show his leadership. And I keep telling you, just because you lead a team somewhere, that doesn't necessarily make you a leader. See, they want to put LeBron as a lead. See, Kevin Durant has led a team, but that doesn't make him a leader. It's the same thing with LeBron James. Okay? First of all, why is it that you needed Dwayne Wade to teach you how to win? Why is it that Dwayne Wade is your psychologist? That basically tells you that Wade is more of a leader than he. And that's, I'm not being disrespectful to LeBron like that, because he is an immense talent. But it again tells you that all these narratives that people keep putting on him and all these fake myths, those are just, that's what they are, myths. They're not real. They're not real. So that's what they've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now that we mentioned that, and now that we've gone when it comes to AD and stepping on toes, I'm gonna put these guys right here. And just give me a second.
All right, take your time.
And then once I do that, then you could put your top five. That's who you're talking about. Okay. You ready for it? Here we go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Bam.
Boom shakalaka. Yes, sirree.
Now I know some of those guys, you can't really make the case for, but and shout out to Shah Zulu in the building. Let me just check the comment real quick. Anthony L said Kobe had averaged 27 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists during drugged his team to the playoffs on a torn Achilles with a washed up Nash and a hurt Dwight Howard. And he's talking about the 2013, Lakers, and he was in his 17th season. And people are making it seem like what LeBron is doing is unprecedented, but it was like, he was doing the same thing. And at his age, it was 34. So he was just 1 year younger than Bron, but in the 17th season. And that's why I'm like, I don't understand why people are just dragging it out. Like, it's so amazing. But it's like Kobe kind of did the same thing. He just didn't, his numbers just weren't that crazy. But he didn't average 10 assists, or he wasn't at about 8 rebounds, but his game was impacting wins in the regular season when those guys were hurt. And people forget that Nash, Dwight Howard, and there we go. We got Anthony L in the building. People forget that team was fully injured. They only started 5 games together, and in the 78th game, he got injured, and they went to the playoffs. But you don't think that they could have used him against the San Antonio Spurs at that 2 guard position, considering that their bigs were pretty much getting outplayed at that point, and they got swept. So, these are things that people never fail to mention, and they don't watch the games. And it's like, I've been watching the NBA for such a long time, and you have as well, G Money, and you have Anthony L. But without further ado, let me get shout out to my man Anthony L. This is the first time that he's appeared. Yo, Anthony L, man, welcome to the stream. I know this is your first time on here, man. Appreciate you for coming through, and I know you're listening, man. How are you doing? How are you dealing with this whole COVID-19? And I hope you've been, I hope you've been safe, man.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on the broadcast, and I'm excited. It's my first time on the panel, so I'm excited to finally be on. I know. I've been. You had sent me the invitation before to get on, and I'm glad I could finally make my appearance. It's good that we still get to talk about basketball, even though basketball has been currently suspended at the moment. But I'm still glad that we still have enough fresh topics to talk about, at least for now, until we can all get this thing situated. But
Right.
but I've been good. I've been taking vitamins, trying to do whatever I can to boost and strengthen my immune system. So
I feel
just
you. I
taking
feel you.
care of my health, trying to eat the right foods, and just trying to stay away from crowds, and just not expose myself as much as possible. But that's all, pretty much all I can do.
No, yeah, exactly.
Nothing much else you can do.
Right. Yeah, they've been saying like the best thing to you have to try to keep social distance apart, and it's crazy. And yeah, like basically you said, I mean, it's crazy because I went to the gym 2 straight days, and then it was like now the gyms are starting to close, so now it's like I got to kind of alternate it now, try to
Yeah,
exercise at home, and
yeah.
which is what I'm gonna
That's
do.
going on in my school too. Gyms starting to close in my school too for some reason.
No, yeah, it's like I just think that these guys, I just think as a society, they really didn't really prepare or really didn't think that this thing would get as serious as it did, and at least with China, they took the precautionary methods, they did the right things, they did it with speed and accuracy, something that this country has never been good at, and they already opened their businesses, they already opened their schools, and everything is pretty much doing well. Oh, at least over there. But that's because they once they found out about it, they just took care of it as early as possible. So they were very active. You know, with our country, it's there's a lot of too many innuendos and what to do and what not to do as we try to find out. So it's like a lot of things are closed because they don't really know, what it is to do, and it's gotten people to go crazy. And it's like and to have this fear, I just look at it this way, and Layla mentioned it, she mentioned it in the another live stream that I did. Oh, actually the live stream where we did the jazz, when we were supposed to have the Jazz and Thunder apparently. But it's you want to have precautions, and you want to try to be safe, but at the same time you got to keep a positive mindset. So and that's how I'm pretty much taking it. You got to be careful, but you just take precaution. It's like once you start to put this fear, it's like you start to worry, and then it's like it's not going to want to make you try to do anything of the things that you're supposed to do. But you just got to keep moving on with life, and like I said, just make sure we follow our protocols and our procedures, and hopefully this thing will die down, and we can get hopefully everything going again in terms of society and in life, and we could just pretty much go back to normal. So Anthony, I know you was just saying a little bit of things in the comments, man, but I also wanted to get your thoughts on, the MVP talk between, Giannis and LeBron. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, and then we're actually going to push it to the MVP candidates that we think that deserve a mention. So just real quick, man, what are your thoughts on the LeBron versus Giannis debacle in terms of who should be the MVP? Then make your case and then just say why. And shout out to Bookie Allen in the building.
Well, it's pretty much obvious. I mean, like Giannis is doing a whole lot more with a whole lot less, and we have to keep in mind that Giannis is still developing as a superstar. People forget about that. You have to remember that when LeBron was 24 and 25 years old, he was still developing as a superstar. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So his 3-point shot wasn't always consistently there. His outside jumper wasn't always consistently there. It was there, but it wasn't always there consistently. He hadn't fully perfected it yet at that age. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like we can't move the goalposts, when it comes to Giannis. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody was so quick to anoint LeBron at the age of 24 and 25 because people were tired of Kobe. Let's just keep it real. I know everybody
Mm-hmm.
loves Kobe now, but at the time, the media could not stand Kobe. I mean, let's just keep it what it was, keep it
Right.
what it is, because that's why they propped up LeBron so quickly as they did. Because, remember, keep in mind, Kobe went to 3 straight championships, 3 straight finals, and he was pretty much top dog in the NBA at that time. You know, and he was already in the conversation as the best player in the NBA. The only thing about it was is that before he got Gasol, he didn't really have a sidekick, so it
Mm-hmm.
was hard for them to really put him in that conversation because of the talent or lack of talent that he had around him. But when as soon as he got the trade for Gasol, they went to 3 straight NBA Finals and won 2. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And the difference with LeBron is that he has a sidekick. You know, Anthony Davis, he doesn't have any championships yet, but compare if you look at his total body of work in terms of what he brings both offensively and defensively, it's much better than what Pau Gasol had throughout his career. You understand what I'm saying? The only
Agreed.
thing Gasol has over Anthony Davis, obviously, Now, don't get me wrong. Pau Gasol has a great skill set offensively. Have great footwork. He's great in the post. He can shoot the mid range jumper, and occasionally he can shoot the three. So he can do a lot of versatile things. But if we're talking about a total body of work, you know what I mean? Like it's levels to it. You understand what I'm saying? And for LeBron to acquire, we have to keep in mind, had it not been for all of the injuries that Anthony Davis have accumulated throughout his career, people would be talking about him as being the best player in the NBA. Had it not been for all of the injuries, I mean, we can actually make that argument,
Hmm.
because I mean, just look at how dominant he is. I mean, this guy, he can handle the ball like a point guard. Has really good ball handling skills. You can utilize him in the post. He can shoot the baseline jumper. He can shoot the mid range at the top of the key. He can shoot threes. You know, he can do so many things for you offensively, and then not to mention defensively as well. He can defend the paint. He can block shots. He can grab steals. He can do so many things for you defensively and both offensively. He's just that dominant of a big man. He's not like your traditional power forward to where, you know, where he's one dimensional to where he has to just get on the block and then just, all of his bread and butter goes through, the post, which if you can, remember a lot of the great legendary power forwards in the game, the majority of the offense is predicated off what they could do in the post, But Anthony Davis could do so many different things. He's that versatile offensively, and then defensively, he's that dominant. So when you have a guy that's both dominant offensively and defensively, you can't just brush that off. You understand what I'm saying? And this is
Hmm.
and this is exactly why a lot of superstars or even players in general don't want to play with LeBron, because players like that are not going to get the full credit that they're due. And don't be surprised if part of that might be the reasoning behind Anthony Davis leaving in the offseason, because when you know within yourself that you have the capability of being in a conversation of being the best player in the NBA, and nobody's giving you credit for it,
Hmm.
that's gonna affect you, mentally. You may not admit to that outwardly, and you may not let it show, because obviously you got to be a professional, and LeBron is your teammate. You guys share the same agent. You guys share the same company or whatnot. But at the same time, you can't sit here and tell me that Anthony Davis is not thinking like, wait a minute, they're giving LeBron all this credit. We wouldn't have gotten to this point had it not been for my contributions as well. You understand what I'm saying? But you
Agreed.
know, they're not gonna give Anthony Davis that type of credit. And it's not fair, because I feel like if Kevin Durant was playing with a guy like Anthony Davis, he'll be automatically disqualified for MVP. If Steph Curry was playing with a guy like Anthony Davis, he'll automatically be disqualified as MVP. If you swap Chris Middleton with Anthony Davis and give Anthony Davis to Giannis, Giannis will be disqualified as an MVP candidate. You give Luca or James Harden or any other superstar in the NBA a player like Anthony Davis, and they'll automatically be disqualified. But because Anthony Davis is playing with LeBron, all of a sudden he's the invisible man. It's almost like he doesn't even exist. And I'm
Right.
like, you can't, we have to, we got to keep the same energy. If other
That's right.
players, other superstars can't have other superstars along with them, and win the MVP, then I feel like the same should apply to LeBron. You know, it's only fair. You don't get from not making the playoffs one season and then you acquire a guy like Anthony Davis and then get the number one seed the next season, and then all of a sudden we should just give LeBron all the praise. Come on now. You can't do that.
Yeah. All right.
You can't
All
do
right.
that.
All right. So yeah, no. So no, you made some great valid points. Great valid points, and I pretty much agreed on 1,000. But ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, I want to welcome. I know he was waiting patiently, and like I said, apologies. I know Anthony had a lot to say on that. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Appreciate you coming through, my brother. Sly Zulu in the building, man. What's up? Welcome to the stream, man, brother. How are you doing?
Greetings. I'm
Man.
good. I'm good, man. I'm glad to be on, man. Glad to be on. I'm a fan of your work, man. I followed you on Instagram with my sports page on Instagram. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad to be on, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm staying healthy out here, you know what I'm saying? The A, you know what I'm saying? ATL, you know what I'm saying? I think this is gonna be crazy, man. The fact that I'm hearing the news that the NBA is going to start back up in June and then finish the finals in August. So that means, I guess, no Olympics, and this is gonna be real historic because I was really amped to see before this virus came down. I was really amped to see who's gonna get picked for the Olympics and what's gonna be the new young blood in there and how this thing is gonna play out. But even before that, who's gonna get to to the final spot in the playoffs because. The playoffs was before the virus came. The playoffs was just getting real spicy. The playoffs was getting spicy. The Thunder was trying to fight for that spot. I'm not a Utah guy, so I really wanted the Thunder to take that home court from them and beat them in the playoffs. And the Kings, they're fighting for eighth, and they feel like they have a chance. And then I even hear the sorry teams like the Knicks and the Bulls. They trying to sell all their merchandise, so they want the season to start back so they can make the rest of their money. And the Clippers. I wanted to see how they were going to play on April 8th or April 9th when they play the Lakers that one last time in the regular season because a lot of Laker hype bandwagon guys and a lot of LeBron fanboys really felt like, okay, they won the finals in March. And I said, well, it ain't the finals yet. It ain't the playoffs yet. And they felt like that, because they had a good weekend that did the champion. So I really wanted to see if they could hold on to that momentum.
Yeah, man, this is what gets me mad, man. It's like all of a sudden they beat the Bucks and the Clippers, the two teams that they lost to earlier in the season, and you know what those guys said. They're like, oh, it don't matter. We got time later on, and then all of a sudden they beat them in the same week, and they're like, oh, you got to keep that same energy now because they beat them, man. That means that the Lakers are the best team. I'm like, wait, hold on. First of all, y'all only play the Bucks twice a season, so y'all got y'all revenge game or whatever. That's fine. Then on top of that, I was like, you still got one more meeting against the Clippers. You telling me that the Clippers ain't going to take that seriously considering how bad they play? And look, I'm going to keep that smoke on the Clippers. And we're actually going to talk about them right here, even though we're doing this MVP debate. I'm actually going to open up the questions a little bit. So I got a couple of questions I got to ask you guys. But
okay,
once they beat the Clippers, I'm just saying to myself, I'm like, okay, so they got their win. They needed to do that. There's no way that the NBA was going to let the Clippers go up 3-0 on the Lakers. They had to give them at least one game. And look,
I smell
I agree. That game was kind of fishy. I agree.
It's like, so I had a feeling like, because the way the Clippers, I said, look, Paul George, he was cooking early. I was like, he played well. But listen, they didn't go to him in the second half. Then on top of that, I was like, yo, Kawhi Leonard wasn't playing defense like he normally was playing. And then it was like everybody was just off. And the way the guards just played, I'm like, okay, the Clippers they didn't feel like playing defense today from the start. And I'm like, it's a rival team. But
Lou Williams was stinking it up.
Lou Williams was garbage. 7 points, 3 of 11. Come on.
He was getting picked off every time. Every time you get picked off, you lost on pick and rolls. He was lost.
Well, I thought Doc Rivers made a mistake by leaving Patrick Beverly on the point. I thought he should have taken him off the point, and I actually personally would have put Reggie Jackson at the point because he's a threat to not only pass but he can create his own shot. Patrick Beverly is not a threat to really create his own shot like that. I would rather much see Patrick Beverly moved off the ball, right? And letting him catch shots, off driving kicks, where he's shooting those corner threes. That's where he's effective. I don't like it when he's handling the ball like that. And I thought Doc Rivers should have taken him off point because that's where they messed up. And you have to credit Vogel for putting Avery Bradley on him because he did kind of like rattle him a little bit and threw him off his game. So the Clippers going to have to make that adjustment for the next time. And then Marcus Morris is going to have to slow down with all those shots what he was taking.
Morris was terrible.
You gotta-
9 from the field, 4
Realize that
3.
this
Come on.
ain't the Knicks. This ain't the Knicks.
This not the Knicks. Exactly. It's not the Knicks. It's not the Knicks.
Exactly. You have to play under control.
Just because you get the ball don't mean you got to shoot it every time you catch the ball. You understand what I'm saying? Like you gotta stay within the flow of the way the ball is moving, and you gotta learn how to pick your shots. You can't just shoot it every time you catch the ball. That's a recipe for disaster. So they're gonna have to clean that up.
Yeah.
And they should have played. And they should have played Landry Shamet a little more minutes too. I like that guy. I didn't want Philly to let him go, man. I really was messed up.
And then one more thing is that the Clippers. We still got to see how they're gonna incorporate Joakim Noah into the rotation as well. He's gonna be their secret weapon, in my opinion, at least offensively, because now you don't have to worry about having Montrezl Harrell play the center. You can move him back to his natural position, which is the 4, and take him off the 5 because I don't think he's good in that position because he gets abused off the pick and roll constantly. And I think if you have Joakim Noah backing up Zubac in that position, then it kind of it'll give them another bigger body to match up with those bigs, and you ain't got to worry about Hero being abused like that off the pick and roll because he was being badly abused off the pick and roll during that game, and they're gonna have to clean that up, but those are easy fixes for the Clippers. Easy fixes.
All right. All right. So real quick, guys. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. So the next topic we're gonna talk about, and I actually want to talk about the Clippers like after this. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the thumbnail up. And G Money he was starting to kind of go into it, but then it was like I told him to wait a minute because we were just talking about LeBron, Giannis, and then we kind of got into the Clippers a little bit in terms of the matchups because of this whole MVP thing. So the next topic is going to be, and G Money, we're going to start with you, then we're going to go to Sly, and then we're going to go to Anthony L. So the topic is going to be who other than those two guys, and I'm going to put the thumbnail up real quick, who other than those two guys do you believe deserves to get MVP consideration? So which of those two guys, and while each person speaks, I just want you guys to just mute your mics, and then when that person finishes, I'm gonna ask y'all to just unmute your mic, and then you guys will have the floor. So G Money, we're gonna start with you. Who other than Giannis and who other than LeBron deserves to be in the MVP conversation? Go ahead, take it away. Floor's yours.
In my opinion, Luka Doncic, he's been electrifying this year. He has the Mavs in the 7th seed right now. The season, I think in the 6th seed, the Mavs are 6 or 7. He's averaging 29 points per game, 9 rebounds, 9 assists on a really good 46% from the field, a mediocre 32% from 3, and its effective field goal percentage is 53%. The Mavericks were supposed to be out of the playoff race, but he's improved his game. He's been clutch in big time moments, Kristaps Porzingis has been really dominant this year after he started so slow. So I got to put Luka in there. My next one is James Harden. I know James Harden's kind of been shaky as of late down the stretch, but the dude is averaging 34 points per game on 44% from the field, 35 from downtown, on the effective field goal percentage of 53%. And it's giving you 6 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals per game and 1 block. So James Harden should be in there. I know the Rockets have kind of underachieved, but he's had a great year. And my personal opinion, either Anthony Davis should be in there or probably like Spicy P. Because it's like if you look at Spicy P, he's averaging 24 points per game on 46% from the field, 36 from downtown. Effective field goal percentage of 52, and his free throw percentage at 80%. And the Raps are the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And if the season didn't get suspended, Toronto could have won 60 games. Because remember, they had a 15-game win streak for a span, though. And that's what I'm saying. So my MVP candidates are, if I had to make a top 5 list, I would say Giannis at 1, Luka at number 2, AD at number 3. This is just me. LeBron, James Harden at number 4. Number 5, LeBron / Spicy P. That's my top 5 MVP candidates.
Okay, G Money. So you take your mic off, and now Sly, you got the floor. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
All right, cool. G Money, I like that pick. I like them picks. I agree with most of those. I think first my candidate outside of Giannis and LeBron. First of all, I mean LeBron in it, but I'll have to put Anthony Davis over him on the simple fact of the point you made of like, last year they were in the playoffs, and this year you get Anthony Davis, it just skyrocketed. And people gotta understand Anthony Davis is a special player. I've been following him since he was in high school. And Kentucky, I've been a fan of him. So to see him go from a primary defender in Kentucky under the coach Calipari, and then come in the league, and each year since the 2012 Olympics, he has evolved his offensive game. His 3-point shot from the corner has gotten really elite, really from everywhere. But I like how he shoots from the corner. He likes that 3-point corner shot. His post moves is decent. He got a nice fade. He could handle. It's really nothing Anthony Davis can't do, really. And the only weakness he has is health. So Anthony Davis is my first candidate. Second, I have to go with Luka Doncic. I have to go with Luka because, Dallas was a team that, people wasn't expecting to be ready all the way yet. And the fact that they're in the playoffs in the hunt like this, that says something. And he's a real talented player. I've never seen a 6'10" guy with a shot like that can dribble and they just move like the way he moves. I mean, this guy's like a combination of Larry Bird with like a couple pinches of Pistol Pete. That's something really, shall I say, a hybrid in today's game. And then he has a good court vision. He could pass. So I have to put Doncic in there, plus the numbers he's putting up. And the other two unlikelies, y'all might not agree with me, but these guys really just spark something. One is Westbrook. I have to give it to him a little bit more than Harden, even though I won't say he doesn't have the numbers Harden have like that. However, his effect when Westbrook gets on the floor and the way he drives to the basket is just, certain people have more of a numbers effect and certain people have more of a play effect. And Westbrook is more of a play effect player. Like when they traded Clint Capella, which I thought was really crazy. I didn't agree with it at first, but when I saw how they opened up the floor for Westbrook, I was like, wow. Like with people, because I know OKC fans from like the Westbrook days, OKC, they was like, why he didn't do that with the Thunder? And I was like, well, I guess because with the Thunder, he had so much of a load on him that he felt like he had to do everything. Whereas with Houston, under D'Antoni's offense, it's more of a like, okay, you're the perimeter guy. You're the guy that's going to get the layups. You're the guy that can shoot the twos. Everyone else is going to stick to the analytics of the structures of Daryl Morey and be more of a 3 guy, because the Houston Rockets, they're the type of team of like, okay, it's either 3 or dunk, 3 or layup, 3 or dunk, 3 or layup. We don't do mid-range. But they allow Westbrook to be the only guy to do this and get away with it. And he plays so big for his size. It's just really phenomenal, especially that game against the Celtics, how he just turned up and he bullied the whole Boston Celtic team with his willpower. So Westbrook, he's in my MVP race. And then even though Spicy P, he's in there too, that's a good point. Because the Raptors, no one expected them to be this good without Kawhi Leonard. I know I didn't. I expected the Raptors to be at least 4th seed, 3rd seed, but 4th at worst in the East without Kawhi. And the fact that they're just up there, that lets you know that they're very coached. They coach real well, and they stick true to their fundamentals and their principles, and they don't put one man above the team. So he's up there. But my unsung hero is 34-year-old Chris Paul. Chris Paul, the effect he has on the Thunder and the fact that he has them in the hunt of being like, what, I believe they're 3rd or they're 4th or 5th in the West before this virus hit. It's just unbelievable that a guy that was disowned by the Clippers, he had problems with the Clippers, he had problems with the Rockets. People don't like his personality sometimes. They might think he's too fussy and of a leader. And the fact that he has these young guys rallying behind him, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander rally about him, Terrence Ferguson rallying behind him, and they believe in him as a leader, and they look to him to get them out of situations. It just shows his intelligence as a point guard. Playing the point guard position is about intelligence. You have to be really intelligent with your IQ with the ball to be a point guard and be a leader. So I think Chris Paul is in like a race for, like, you know, based on his influence, what he's doing with the team. And I know he probably doesn't have the exciting numbers as other MVP racers. However, it's in my humble opinion, the MVP is about the person who does more with less, not the person who does more or just as much with more. That's just my opinion on that. Like, if you do more with less, like, I'm gonna give you a clear example. I hope I ain't going too long, but I'm gonna give you a clear example. In 2009, 2010-ish, Dwayne Wade should have been MVP from the Heat before LeBron got there, because Dwayne Wade did more with less. When we had Michael Beasley and the young Chalmers and all those guys and Quentin Richardson, they wasn't really that good. If you take Wade off the Heat, they were not that good. But the play, his play was so high that he got them to like at least the second round of playoffs. Where LeBron, you know, he had more of an advanced deck in his card hand, because his team was the like number one in the East 2 years in a row, and they failed to make the finals with all the hype. While Dwayne Wade took a team that would be probably 12th in the East and made them 7 for 6. So I mean, that's just my opinion. So I got AD, Luka, and Westbrook and Chris Paul. That's mine.
All right, man. Sly coming in with that ether, man. So Anthony L, floor is yours, man. Your MVP candidates.
Okay, so for going besides Giannis and LeBron, I would have to go with Anthony Davis, because he is leading the Lakers in points. He's leading the team in rebounds. He's leading the team in blocks. He's shooting a better free throw percentage than LeBron. You got to think, like, not a lot of guys have the luxury of playing with a big of 7-footer practically, you know, that can knock down free throws. You know what I mean? Like, how many superstars, even in the history of the game, wish that they could say that they're playing with another dominant superstar big man that can knock down free throws. You know what I'm saying? Like, just imagine how much more dominant Shaq would have been in that, you know, in that sense. But I don't want to get too off key, but, you know, obviously, you know, I'm going with Anthony Davis because of what he's doing on both ends of the floor, the impact that he's giving the Lakers on both ends of the floor, both offensively and defensively. So we got to put some respect on Anthony Davis' name. You know, I know you don't, you know, you're going to be the odd man out playing with a guy like LeBron. You know, you're never going to outshine playing with a guy like LeBron, but we still got to put some respect on his name. So I got to go with Anthony Davis, and then I also got to go with Luka Doncic. He just surpassed Jason Kidd already in the second season for the most triple doubles in team history. Like, we got to think about that, you know, and look at all the injuries that he had to battle through this season. And for him to be putting up these kind of numbers and breaking all of these records and doing what he's doing, like, that's amazing, you know, even with the injuries. So and you got to remember, Luka's playing with less too, because I mean, his next best player is Porzingis. Even though Porzingis is on the cusp of becoming an all-star pretty soon, he's not playing with that much talent either. So I mean, if you give Luka half the talent that the Lakers have right now, I think they'll be even in a much better place than where they are now at the 6-7 spot in the West. So you know, if we're going off that, I would put Luka in the mix for MVP. The next person that I would have in the line would be Russell Westbrook, because ever since they went small ball, Westbrook has really changed the way he played. He's not jacking up a lot of ill-advised threes. You know, he's taking shots within the rhythm and the flow of the game. He's attacking that paint, because once they got rid of Capella, that created a lot of opening lanes and a lot of easier drives to the basket, because Capella was clogging up that paint. And ever since they got Capella out of the mix, Houston, they look like they found something with this small ball. And ever since they went to the small ball lineup, Westbrook has been the one who has thrived from it the most, even more than James Harden. So if we're looking at it from that aspect, I would have to give Westbrook the nod over Harden, even though Harden is still putting up MVP like numbers. If we're talking about the impact of these wins and losses, you got to remember in the month of February, the Houston Rockets went 8-1, and their only loss in that month was against the Phoenix Suns, and that was the game that Westbrook didn't play. So you gotta keep in mind that um, um, the Houston Rockets, they could have went undefeated in 9-0 throughout that entire month. That's why I was kind of scratching my head as to why LeBron won Player of the Month for February, when it was really Westbrook that had the most dominating month since they switched and went to that smaller lineup. So I would have to throw Westbrook and give him some love as far as an MVP candidate. And another guy people are forgetting um, um, is Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, I think, has made a late surge to get his name in the mix or within the MVP conversation. And you have to we're talking about, since we're talking about playing with less, we got to understand, even though Boston is almost in the same situation as Milwaukee in terms of them them not having a lot of talent, but they have good chemistry. They have good coaching and they have good chemistry. But Jason Tatum, that still doesn't negate the fact that Jason Tatum has been their star. And you gotta think, like, for a guy like Gordon Hayward to be a multiple time All Star, he really hasn't been playing up to par. He hasn't been playing up to his potential, in my opinion. And I think he gets a pass. You know, he gets a pass that a lot of All Stars don't get. And I'm not going to go too deep as to why. I personally believe that Gordon Hayward gets a pass. That's a debate for another day. But I think you guys kind of know where I'm getting at with that. But to me, he just hasn't played. I know he suffered an injury a couple of years ago that he's still trying to work himself through. But at the same time, it's been 2 years since that injury. So we still can't use that injury as an excuse. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I feel like, in order for Boston to really get over the hump and really prove that we didn't, we can still win even without Kyrie Irving. They're going to need to get some more help from Gordon Hayward. They haven't been getting enough help from him. And then also Kemba Walker has been in and out of the lineup with injuries. And then I like Jalen Brown, but he's a solid role player, but he's not quite a star yet. So if you want to credit to the success, or at least a bulk of the success as to why Boston is a top three, top four seed in the East, we have to credit that to Jason Tatum. And he's made some strides, for him to be still young and still developing. He's at least within the past couple of months, like he's really stepped up to the plate, and he's been balling. And he's another guy that had worked with Kobe as well, briefly, during the last couple of years. He was Kobe kind of took him under his wing and mentored him and whatnot, and he's been one of the ones playing with that Mamba like mentality. So if I had to give somebody a mention for an MVP candidacy, it'll be Jason Tatum, and then Chris Paul. Obviously, he'll be an honorable mention as well. So that's pretty much how I would round that up as far as guys who deservedly should be considered in the MVP conversation.
All right, indeed. So before I give my take and then we move on to the next topic, let me just go real quick. Shout out to Watchful News. I appreciate you, subscribing to the channel and being a new subscriber. I appreciate it. He was making some great points in the chat while all you guys were giving points. And he was basically saying he respects what CP3 is shown. Shout out to Sly for mentioning that, because it's like I had CP3 in my mind for a candidate, but he says he respects what he's shown. He's the definition of a distributor. Means he gets the whole team working. Braun, Russ, and Harden are initiators, but they get their points of assists from their hand. He also says he basically was talking about Embiid, Kyrie, Kawhi. He's basically telling you like all of the roles that pretty much each of those guys can do. Some of those guys can do multiple things, but what their primary role is on the team. So I thought that was a great point. And then he even puts in Steph Curry in there, who, if he was healthy and the Warriors were, a pretty good team or whatever, and he was leading them, I mean, he would have been in the MVP conversation as well. But obviously he was injured, missed most of the season, and the Warriors have been bad. But since Curry's a bucket getter, Draymond is defense, and Clay was a two-way monster. So he was just mentioning that. And then lastly, he says that Kawhi has moved from an initial two-way guy to realizing how different life is when you are D-ended on to be the ordinary bucket getter. It's not easy shutting other teams' shot makers down, and Kawhi is this guy. Kawhi is my guy, too. He's actually my favorite player because he goes out and he just plays basketball and he plays both ends of the floor. But, yeah, it is not easy being that number one guy. All right, so now I'm going to give my other MVP candidates, and then we're going to switch the topic up to the Clippers and the issues that they have despite them, being right there in second place. All right, so my thoughts are, for the MVP, I obviously have to put Anthony Davis at the forefront because of the fact that he is playing with LeBron. LeBron is only leading the team in assists, while AD is giving you leading points, rebounds, blocks, and steals. Last time I checked, 4 beats 1. And like I was mentioning earlier in the stream, that people are saying that LeBron has made AD a better player, and that's not necessarily true because AD had 6 straight seasons of averaging 20 points, 10 rebounds, and over 2.5 blocks per game. Last time I checked, LeBron is not making him any better. And as a matter of fact, since he's been on the Lakers, his rebounds are down nearly 3 rebounds per game. Just last year, and they also said that Anthony Davis has never played 70 games in a season. Well, I was doing that stat with G Money. AD averaged 24 and 10, and then 28 and 11, and he played 75 games back-to-back years. So the fact that they saying that he's never played 70 games because he was without LeBron, that's another false narrative. It's like the proof is in the pudding if you actually do your research. The problem with the fanboys is they only look at highlights and they look at stats, what's in front of them on TV. In other words, the media is brainwashing you, okay? If you really do your research and watch the games with the eye test, you would realize that Anthony Davis can put up those numbers without LeBron. It's the same with Kyrie. It's the same with Kevin Love. It's the same with Chris Bosh. And it's the same with Dwayne Wade. All of those guys had to sacrifice their games for LeBron's system, okay? This is not saying that LeBron is not an amazing player, but notice that LeBron has really never had to sacrifice. They keep saying, oh, well, LeBron's kind of moving to the point guard role. He's been doing this for his entire career. It's really nothing new. And he's averaging anywhere from, with the exception of his rookie year, he's pretty much been consistent, 25 to 28 points a game, with only that one time in his career he led the league in scoring at 30 back in 2008. But it really hasn't been that much different. And he's giving you 7 to 8 assists. It just happens that this year, the media is telling you, oh, he moved to the Magic Johnson role, and he's giving you that Magic Johnson type of game to where, oh, yeah, that he's giving you 10 assists a game. But that's nonsense. He's been doing that his whole year. But with Anthony Davis, he's changed the culture defensively. Also, like, they're a much improved defensive team because of Anthony Davis. He helps that interior with JaVale McGee, another shot blocker, and then you have Dwight Howard. I mean, JaVale McGee was on 2 championship Golden State Warriors team that beat LeBron James on his watch. So it's like he's got experience on his team, and that's another all-star player he's playing with. That's an MVP caliber player. Dwayne Wade, like Sly said, is an MVP caliber player. I mean, I was making the case that Wade should have been MVP in 2009. I said because he not only gave you 30 points, he not only gave you 7 assists, and he gave you 5 rebounds. Wade was doing this shooting 49%, number one. And number two, he had 200 steals and 100 blocks. That hadn't been done since MJ. And he had more steals and blocks combined more than LeBron James and Dwight Howard. Let that sink in. And Dwight Howard is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, which tells you that Wade's defense is pretty good. It's pretty good. So with Anthony Davis, it's like the fact that people are saying LeBron's made him better. That's not true. I mean, AD is a dominant player. Dominant. Keyword. He's playing with another dominant player. Okay? So that's why Anthony Davis deserves MVP consideration. But because he has a beta mentality and he pretty much follows, that's kind of the reason why it's going to happen. So, that's why. But so going back to that. So Anthony Davis is number one. Luka Doncic, we can't ignore what this guy's doing. He improved from his rookie year to his second year. The numbers he's putting up, he improved his field goal percentage by damn near 6% because he's shooting 48% from the field this year. He's almost giving you a triple-double. And like they were saying, and Slob was saying, like, he passed Jason Kidd for the most triple-double. Or I think it was G Money who said it, most triple-doubles in a season, in their second year. Nobody saw the Mavs as a playoff team. And the fact that Porzingis he's starting to play better, but that's because the offense was being run through him while Luka was being out. But, while he's been in there, man, the Dallas Mavericks are a playoff team. So we got to get that deserves MVP consideration. Take Luka off that team and Dallas isn't going to be as effective. So we got to put that into account. So I think that's, we have to give Luka his respect. Then I get to Russell Westbrook. And shout out to Anthony L, who says he'll be right back. No doubt. Take care, do your thing. But Russell Westbrook, I mean, from the minute they went to small ball, here's the thing with King Capella. They're going to miss him for the fact that he's a big, but in terms of their offense, in terms of rebounding and playing defense, but in terms of offense, the fact that he's gone, they get to go small and Russell Westbrook gets to post up. He also gets to drive. He's being way more efficient, taking less threes, and it's benefiting him and the Rockets are winning. James Harden, I could say he kind of deserves consideration, but the thing is, Russ is having more impact with Houston than James Harden is with his play style. And if you look at their play styles, Russ's play style is actually leading to victories, whereas James Harden, even though he's done it in the past, the fact that he's playing together with Westbrook, it's not. And I'm telling you, at some point, James Harden is going to either complain to management or complain to D'Antoni, thinking that the offense should be run around him again and that they'll have success. And you'll see Houston bounce off early in the playoffs again. And I can see it happening. And this is why I'm saying that they're not going to win a championship. So again, shout out to Tomoko and shout out to Watchful News. Appreciate you guys, for what you guys have been putting in the chat. And shout out to the panel once again. But Russell Westbrook definitely deserves consideration for sure. And he's having a career year shooting the ball. He's mixed up his game and it's giving you great results. And the Rockets are actually putting up a streak. So I got Russell Westbrook. And then of course you got to put Chris Paul. I mean, let's be real. His points may not say a lot. Neither will his rebounding and maybe his assists are down. But his leadership and his impact, it goes to show you who was the real leader of the Houston Rockets. Was it James Harden? Yeah, he was the best player, but who was the more impactful player on that Rockets team? It was Chris Paul, okay? People say it all the time. If Chris Paul didn't get injured, they probably beat Golden State because he has the ability to slow the tempo down. And they had enough bodies to be able to defend Golden State to see on what they like to do. So that's why with Chris Paul being with the Thunder and leading that young team with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with Nerlens Noel, Steven Adams, with Diallo, Terrence Ferguson, as Sly was mentioning earlier when he was making his point. Nobody saw the Thunder as a playoff team. Once they traded Paul George and they got rid of Westbrook, everybody thought that this team was going to be a lottery team and one of the worst teams in the NBA. You get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you get Chris Paul, and what are the Thunder? The Thunder are one of the better teams in the league. They've beaten some pretty good teams. And like Sly said, I would really like for the Thunder to get home court advantage. And I think that it'd be nice if they were to knock off, like I said, the Utah Jazz in the playoffs and they get a second-round matchup against the Lakers. I think the Thunder would be even more focused this time around, knowing that obviously that the playoffs are a second season. And remember, it's always 0-0 at the start. So what happens in the regular season doesn't matter because we've seen a lot of regular seasons where teams dominate another and then the playoffs are a whole different story. So we could see, and I think it would be a nice challenge considering how young the Thunder are, but they compete, they play hard. They've been a solid defensive team pretty much all year. So Chris Paul definitely deserves consideration, no doubt. It's crazy, but I would have to put Pascal Siakam and I would have to put Jason Tatum in there because just for the fact that nobody saw the Raptors being as good as they have been, and they've had injuries with Norman Powell, they've had injuries with Kyle Lowry, they've had injuries with Siakam himself, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol. So I got to give him that. even though they've had the same team. Nobody really thought they were going to be that good without Kawhi Leonard. So I have to give Siakam some credit, and they've stepped up. He stepped up his game, and the Raptors had a 15-game win streak, so I got to give him that for sure. And then Jason Tatum, the Celtics are really pretty much similar like the Bucks. It's true. It's really true because they don't really have a dominant player, and Jason Tatum is really their only star. Jaylen Brown is really he's a very good role player. Gordon Hayward hasn't lived up to his contract. And I think to me, he's a good player, but I feel like he's a little overrated, in my opinion. I think he's slightly overrated, and I feel like he really hasn't played up to expectations, considering how much money he got. And Jason Tatum has actually really stepped up. I mean, this is a team that just has very good coaching and good chemistry, like the Bucks. They don't have another dominant player other than Jason Tatum. And for Boston to be as good as they have been, that says a lot. But I also want to mention this guy, even though he's another guy that his numbers haven't really been impacted. They don't really impact, and they haven't really shown on the score sheet. But this is another team that has actually been a surprise too. I'm gonna give Jimmy Butler some love out here for the Miami Heat. Nobody saw this team as a top team in the Eastern Conference. And I'm not gonna give him crazy consideration just because he really hasn't put it with his numbers. But his defense, his leadership, the surgence of Bam Adebayo, Kendrick Nunn, Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. They've been able to stay afloat in the Eastern Conference, being one of those top 4 teams in the East. I didn't see Miami came out of nowhere. I did not expect this from the Miami Heat. So I definitely have to give even Jimmy Butler some respect in terms of an MVP candidacy. Like, nobody saw the Heat being this good. And like I said, this is why Eric Spoelstra deserves a Coach of the Year candidate. Him, Nick Nurse, for them to be able to do what they're doing, even though they want to say that it's the Eastern Conference, the same Eastern Conference that LeBron played in when he had those talented Miami and Cleveland teams and playing some of the weak teams in the East. Like they don't get it. But he definitely deserves consideration. So those are my MVP candidates. We're talking AD, Luka, Westbrook, Paul, Siakam, Tatum, and I'm going to put a honorable mention to Jimmy Butler because nobody saw Miami being this good. And then you add the acquisitions of Iguodala, Solomon Hill, and Jay Crowder. I'm telling you right now. It's a shame that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are injured, and the fact that Philly's been so disappointing. If they would have been better on the road and they would have played to their capabilities, I could have put Joel Embiid as a candidate too, and it would have really made the MVP race interesting. But it hasn't. I'm telling you right now. If the Bucks play the Miami Heat, I got a funny feeling that Miami has a better chance of beating them in the playoffs. I really think so with the acquisitions that they have. And so those are pretty much my takes. So you guys can unmute yourselves for a quick moment. And now that we're back, I want to switch topics and Sly. I'm going to let you get on the back end on this one. We are talking about the Los Angeles Clippers. And as good as the Clippers are in terms of top to bottom, in terms of what they have, and that they have I guess Sly went out for a moment, so we'll start with you, G-Money. But even though the Clippers are constructed real well, they have some glaring weaknesses on their team, and I know that Joakim Noah hasn't been there yet. So, Sly, I'm going to let G-Money start first, and then I'm going to let you get the back end, all right? So I'm going to let G-Money start first, and then I'm going to let you get on the back end. So, G-Money, in your opinion, even though the Clippers are right behind the Lakers and it's not an insurmountable lead, what issues do the Clippers have, in your opinion, that will prevent them from winning a championship, even though right now we are currently suspended? Take it away, and then Sly, you got the floor after G-Money. Go ahead.
In my opinion, the Clippers have no shot blocking whatsoever. The rim protection is pretty weak. Also, the fact that the problem I have with the Clippers, their execution down the stretch of games is really questionable. All right, because in the playoffs, like I said many times, Paul George or playoff PP, I can say he doesn't come through in the playoffs though, and that is why I don't believe in this team in the playoffs though. And Lou Will, he's great on the road, but at home he doesn't play very well. He will have to fix that if they want to do something. And Marcus Morris, he really has not played well since he's been a Clipper though. His shot's been off ever since he's got traded to the Clippers though. Like that one game against the Lakers, he was 0 of 9 from the field, 1 point, 0 of 7. That's just ridiculous. That is just blasphemous. It's like he took too many threes. He didn't go to the paint. He just kept selling for jumpers, and it wasn't working. And the problem I have with the Clippers, they have the depth, but it's the fact is that they're not a very high IQ team, though. Sometimes, like even though Paul George and Lou, even though Kawhi needs, yeah, the problem I have with the Clippers, they don't have very good high IQ sometimes, though. And I just think that they got to work on their rim protection because as you saw in that game against the Lakers, AD had layups. LeBron went to the bucket at will. Avery Bradley was hitting threes like he was Steph Curry out there. I mean, and the need to crash the glass. Like Kyle Kuzma had 10 rebounds on Sunday. Like the problem I have with the Clippers is that they pick and choose when to turn on the intensity. That's not going to work in the playoffs, though. And I just think that if the Clippers want to go far in the playoffs, you need guys like Paul George, Harold, Lou Will, Shaman, etc., to play their game. And the Clippers got to make free throws. They've missed 9 free throws on Sunday. They lost by 9. If they make those free throws, we go to overtime, and who knows? Maybe they win that game on Sunday. And that's what I'm saying. And, and I just think that because Harold missed 5 himself, I'm just saying that if the Clippers want to really contend for the championship, they need guys to help out Kawhi in the big moments of the playoffs. And Doc Rivers' rotations on Sunday was terrible to me. Like, why you leave, why didn't you play Reggie Jackson more? He was giving you good minutes, passing the ball, hitting some clutch shots, though. And why didn't you take out Marcus Morris and put in Landry Shaman who can hit the outside shot? I didn't stand up by Doc Rivers, though. So my problems with the Clippers, the shot blocking is really bad. Their perimeter defense is not very great. I mean, they gave up 26 threes or something like that against the Timberwolves in one game, which is ridiculous. The Clipper team we saw on Thursday when they clobbered the Rockets, that the Clippers have to play like that. Because in that game, Paul George stayed on James Harden, didn't let him do patent and step back 3. Russ was doing his thing, but the Clippers were doing a great job staying on the Rockets' perimeter shooting, though. And if the Clippers want to have success in the postseason, they need to learn to lock down the perimeter and force teams to go take mid-range shots. And getting Joakim Noah can help them guard the interior very, very well and strongly. Because against the Lakers, it was like a layup drill at times, though. And last thing, they got to make free throws. Like, this team is not amazing at the line, though. Harold's like around 60-something% at the line. And that's the problem, though. You can't miss almost 10 free throws and expect to win. And that's the thing. The Clippers need to fix their issues if they want to win. That's the thing with me about the Clips.
All right, Salah, the floor is yours, man. Go ahead. What do you think the issues that the Clippers have? And then I don't know if Anthony L's back yet, but if he's not, then I'll just go on the back end and then I'll just say thing. And then we'll have one more topic and then we'll close out the show. But go ahead, Salah. What are your issues with the Clippers as you see?
One thing about the Clippers, man, the talent, they have great talent. They have a great team camaraderie when they play at their best. I think their problem is they need some down low presence. They need more down low presence. And it was a great thing they had got Joakim Noah, who I'm a fan of, been a fan of since the Bulls eras. And, Florida, of course, Joakim Noah is my guy, is my bull. Now, one thing I have to give big ups to G Money on that point, man. Like the Lakers did lay up line their ass like big time. Like they was just, for some reason, I feel like the Clippers, what they could do could work against other teams, but against the Lakers, you need enough like size down low. I feel like Zubac, he needs to be more confident. He needs more shots, attempts, and he needs to get more aggressive. And I like Montrezl Harrell. He needs to be more focused. He has a great athleticism. He works well with the pick and roll with Lou Williams, but he needs to be more focused on other IQ parts of the game. Shamet needs more minutes. I felt like against the Lakers, he didn't have enough minutes. And I just seen games where Shamet had played more minutes, had more open shots, and he had more confidence in his game. 2 moves I didn't agree with. I don't know why in the hell they got Reggie Jackson. I feel like they didn't need him. I'm not really a fan of his play. He has some good upside. He has some good points. He has some good offensive style when he's driving and penetrating, and he brings defenses to him. However, sometimes he could be more of a ball stopper, and he doesn't play any type.
Oh dang! Sly got. I guess Sly's probably having connection issues as to why he's not been able to. Hopefully, let me just wait until he comes on real quick, which he just came back. So.
Yeah, he's back.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but he doesn't play any type of to me. He doesn't play committed defense, and I feel like they were great with Mo Harkless. I didn't feel like Mo Harkless wasn't a bad fit. I felt like with the Clippers. I'm cool with them getting more of a big man. I feel like that's all they needed, but they didn't have to make the other moves they made. Kawhi Leonard, you made a good point, Louis, about how Kawhi Leonard, he has to work extra hard now because he's more of the breadwinner on offense. And I think he could carry the load. Is just Paul George. He needs to come with it. And I think he needs to match Kawhi Leonard's intensity, just like how Pippen had to match George's intensity to get them over the hump. I think once Kawhi and Paul George just fully have like a
All right, Sly went out again. Let me just wait until Sly comes back, and then he could just finish making his point. I don't know if Anthony L's still in the building, but if he's not, I'll go after Sly.
Yeah, but I think that's my point on that. They just need to come together and collide together and make themselves more of a team. But like the Clippers are like in trouble. They just need to patch things up before the playoffs. And I felt like before this virus hit, they were going to do that. But let's see how things go once they allegedly start the playoffs back in June.
All right, man. Both of you guys made great points. I don't know if Anthony L is there. Looks like he probably stepped out for a second, but I'm gonna just go up. I'm gonna just pretty much go on my end, and I'm gonna talk. And if hopefully once he comes back, then he'll be able to give his point. All right, so there's a lot of issues with the Clippers. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. And here's what I'm gonna say right now. Number one, I have an issue with their backcourt, and this is with their three-guard alignment of Lou Will, Pat Bev, and now Reggie Jackson. Now, Reggie Jackson gave him good minutes against the Lakers, and I felt like he should have played a little bit more in terms of because the Clippers were even struggling offensively. And I felt like their offense was kind of really affecting their defense. And so the problem that I had was turnovers. They were turning the ball over a lot, okay? They need to better take care of the ball. And that's what it hurts not having a ball distributor who can pretty much kind of control the tempo. So they don't really have that. With Reggie Jackson, he's pretty much a full court player and goes up and down and he's a scorer. Like you said, Sly, he's not really a defender. So he really doesn't play defense. And then with Patrick Beverley, to me, the crazy part is that he talks a little too much instead of trying to go out there and just defend. That's my issue with Pat Bev. And it's like, I get you make your reputation and trying to get in guys' heads, but you really need to just focus on just trying to defend and just make it difficult. Be a pest and not just be trying to get technicals and stuff like that. Because that's another thing that people need to watch out for the Clippers. You can get them to get frustrated. They pile up technicals and then you possibly could lose one of your key players, especially with some of the hot heads that they have on their team. So what Doc Rivers is going to have to be able to channel some of their egos. So that's another issue that they have. So I'm iffy with the point guard play. Going back to what G Money says, Lou Williams has got to find a balance on how to be able to play both well on the road and at home in Staples. So if they don't get a consistent play, and the thing is, I also don't like the way he shoots too, because when he can get pretty erratic, he tends to shoot off balance a lot. And you could tell that he fades a lot in his shots when he could just be shooting a little more straight up. Because if y'all watch Lou Will, when he starts to get heat checks, he tends to fade a lot to his left when he be shooting that ball. And then sometimes that causes him to lose rhythm and balance. And that's why he starts to struggle. So I'm saying Lou Will needs to balance himself a lot more on when he shoots the basketball. And I'll be noticing that from him. Now with Marcus Morris, I get it. He didn't play great. But I feel like, again, he just came to the Clippers. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to kind of get acclimated with them. So I understand them, but he really needs to focus on trying to be a defender for this team. And when the shots are open, obviously make sure you take them and make sure you take them in rhythm. Don't just shoot for the sake of shooting. So that was my issue with him the last game, and he didn't give him any production. So I understand that. Then I have, let's see, Montrezl Harrell. My issue with him is the Clippers as a team don't really have a defined role because we also have to remember they've played 29 different starting lineups. Mm-hmm. And even when they get healthy, my issue with Montrezl is he thinks he's a scorer because he's averaging 18 off the bench. And that was because he did it last year right before Kawhi and Paul George came. Remember, who is he signed with? He signed with Clutch Sports. He also was complaining about the preferential treatment that both Paul George and Kawhi Leonard got. So people need to remember that. People need to remember that also. They need to remember that Montrezl Harrell, again, he struggles also with pick and roll coverage. And I said, if I'm the Lakers, I take advantage of that with Anthony Davis. He does not do a very good job. He's very lazy in guarding the pick and roll. And also he thinks he's a scorer, not a defender. He needs to focus on defending and rebounding and get your points in the pick and roll. The Clippers, in my opinion, they have an issue of playing too much isolation too. That's another problem. They don't move the ball like they should, okay? So if they would start to move the basketball better and get guys rhythm shots, instead of trying to do so much one-on-one, you build the defense out when you play a predictable style. Montrezl Harrell should not be going one-on-one, okay? That's not his game. And his one-on-one, he really can't shoot. His one-on-one is when you put him on the block and he takes guys off the dribble on the face-up because he's not a post player. See, that's another thing with at least with the Lakers, they have post players. See, the Clippers don't really have that. And Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are going to have to post up a little bit more to really kind of nullify their inability to get points in the paint on post-ups, because their points in the paint are really more so when they drive. So that's why I said they're going to have to play better off the ball in terms of playing a little bit of a more of a motion offense. Shout out to Jordan in the building. And Doc Rivers, your rotations are very weak. They were very weak. He needs to figure out rotations, because what they're going to say is Doc Rivers is pretty much overrated. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say he's overrated because he doesn't have any idea on how to pretty much tinker his lineups. So like I said, I do kind of give the Clippers that they have to work their chemistry, obviously. So they do have to work on that. But I also got to say that they also have to do a better job of, like Sly said, Landry Shamet deserves a couple of more minutes too. And Mo Harkless, the only thing they really needed was a big man, so Joakim Noah. And here's another thing. When I watch the Clippers, they lack toughness for me. Mm-hmm. So Joakim Noah is going to help them out in the toughness department, because I feel like even though they quote-unquote got dogs, like the media has been saying, they got dogs, a part of me just tells me that they're kind of soft. And the Paul George that I saw on Sunday, he should have gotten more touches in the second half. They tried to go to Kawhi Leonard and they got away from that, and it disrupted their rhythm. See, that's another problem I have. And also, Kawhi Leonard is going to have to step up on the defensive end. He's going to have to step up on the defensive end. The Clippers as a team have to step up defensively. Like G Money said, they have to do a better job of their perimeter defense, be locked down perimeter. And like I said, if they allow penetration, make sure that your defense leads to the help on the weak side, because they didn't do that. Avery Bradley, like G Money said, was looking like Steph Curry out there. He made a bunch of threes. And you know what's so crazy too, now that I mentioned this, and I'm going to go a little off topic going to the Lakers, you notice that Anthony Davis and Avery Bradley were doing the thing against the Clippers. Their play was much more impactful than LeBron James. LeBron James gets the credit because they had a 6-point lead, and all of a sudden he gets an and one, and he seals the deal.
Yeah, he was bad batting at the end, yeah.
And LeBron only shot 7 of 17. Avery Bradley, yeah. Now, Jay has said this before, and shout out to Jay, he mentioned this before. Can you count on Avery Bradley to do that again? It's the same thing with Danny Green. Can you count on those guys to do that again? Okay? You're not going to count on that. And that's why if I'm the Clippers, I really need to pay attention to detail, because, again, you guys have the deeper team than LA when it comes to bench reduction, because their bench is not going to give you that every single time. It's not going to give you that. So the Clippers, they need to redefine their roles. They need to have show roles. Doc Rivers needs to figure out his rotations. And Jay also said it as well. Lou Will plays better when Zubac is in the lineup as compared to Montrezl Harrell. Mm-hmm. The thing with the Warriors were last year when in the playoffs, they were toying with the Clippers, and they almost gave them this kind of hope that they could beat them. And Kevin Durant shut that down real quick.
Game 6, 50, yep.
And so that's my point. Like when I look at the Clippers, they got a lot of issues that they need to fix. But most importantly, they need to understand what their roles are. Hopefully, when Joakim Noah comes, he gives them the toughness that they're lacking. Because it's like Marcus Morris also, like you would think that because he's another tough player. And the thing is also, they need to channel their emotions because I could see their emotions being used against them, especially with Pat Bev. He needs to stop trying to bait players into getting into confrontations and focus on playing basketball. Because if he doesn't focus on that, I'm telling you that the Clippers, they'll easily get frustrated with the personalities they have, and they have to keep an eye on all those things. And I don't see the Clippers going far. They have the team to do it. They just got to tweak some things, and they definitely, I'm telling you, will definitely be better. So that was my take on the Clippers. Let me just go into the comment section real quick before we get into our last topic. And our last topic is it's something really interesting, and it's something that Spencer Dinwiddie had said that that I'm kind of surprised that this was mentioned, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that real quick. Jay says, true, Reggie Jackson may need to be the third, and he may spot minutes in the point guard. I would put Reggie Jackson at the 2 because he's more of a scorer.
Yeah.
Then you could switch him to the point, I mean, if you want, but this is why if the Clippers are not going to have a playmaker, they need to share the basketball. They need to share the basketball because look at Curry. Curry can make plays, but why does Draymond lead the team in assists? Because of the system. They share the basketball. That's why Curry's not going to lead. If Curry wanted to, he could lead the league in assists, but he's not going to do that because he plays within the system. The most assists Curry averaged was 8, and that was under Mark Jackson. But that was because Mark Jackson was trying to make him into a traditional point guard. See? Whereas in the system with Steve Kerr, Curry's giving you 5 to 6 assists and Draymond's giving you 7. But that's because of the roles that they have on the team. It's very different. And that's why you got to use context, right? And it's true. They're not a mentally tough team. The Clippers are. So that's why that they're lacking mental toughness. So as I continue in the comment section, let me see. As Jay was saying, Lou plays better with Zubac since the Laker days, and it's true. He does play better with Zubac when they're in the lineup. So Doc Rivers needs to look at that and look at some game film as to what spots Lou will. But like I said, Lou Will needs to shoot more stationary and try to be more accurate, not trying to fade to his left on his jump.
Calm down. He tries to do too much sometimes.
Yeah, and that's why also they need to they cannot let Avery Bradley and KCP dictate everything defensively and have them turn the ball over because they look like they were just cracking, and it was a big game. Jay says, nice to see you on the panel, G Money. Keep bringing it, man. Shout out to Jay. Hopefully you get on here one day, man. Jordan says, did you see Khabib versus Ferguson get canceled again? 5th canceled fight. We will never see it. I know. And Dana White just said that the next 3 fights, the next 3 events for UFC, they're actually going to be canceled. So the 21st, the 28th, and April 5th are all going to be canceled. So I feel bad for the UFC fans. I was really looking forward to Tyron Woodley going up against Leon Edwards, even though he's not playing. He wasn't fighting because they had to move the location from London. So Colby Covington was his replacement, and then that got canceled. So, it sucks, man. I was really looking forward to that fight. And I was actually going to go live with that, in the empty arena. Yeah, I just don't like the fact Doc's rotations, to me, they're just kind of suspect. If he's going to have to really prove his worth like he did last year with what he did with the Clippers when they won 48 games without Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Jordan says CP3 is the safest ball handler in the league. Yeah, he doesn't turn the ball over. His assist-to-turnover ratio is among the best in NBA history, not just in the league, in league history. And that's why I feel like CP3 would be great to a championship team because, if he was actually with this Clippers team, they'd be actually pretty good because he'd be able to. But he has issues with Doc Rivers because they kind of have beef, and he ended up getting traded. But CP3 would have actually been good for the Clippers because they actually have a ball distributor, and they would help with their offense. And Jordan says OKC went from risky to safe. We cannot have a medium. True. Jay says, yep, Bradley was MVP in that last battle of LA. You have to live with that. You want him to shoot. Next 7 to 9 times, Bradley won't come close to that type of shooting. You would have to pray that he makes all those shots if you're a Lakers fan, especially if you're a LeBron when it comes to winning a championship and legacy-wise. Jordan says Draymond at the Lakers will happen sooner or later. So you think he possibly will be an LA Laker? I mean, are they going to take his contract? That's another thing you got to keep in mind because he's still got 3 more years on his deal for Well, after this season. And Jay says, yes, but Reggie has to pass at point guard and more. Shooting guard Reggie will shoot more threes and allow the opponents to come back for their opponents to break away. Because Jay makes a good point. Reggie Jackson can be a ball stopper, and you saw him in his days in Detroit and in Oklahoma City. Well, they didn't even really have a real system with Russ and KD in them, but still, he does have a tendency to ball stop, which is true. I agree with that. All right, so G Money. Last topic of the day, and then we're going to close out the show. Spencer did what he said, that he feels that the NBA, due to this whole COVID-19, and he thinks with the whole competitive season, because of the issue with practice time and not being able to practice, and possibly the NBA coming back in June, and we also understand because of Olympic play possibly being affected, he feels that the league should go to probably involve all 28 teams, and I'm thinking he's thinking from a fan base perspective and revenue perspective. He's thinking that we should go to the college format and have a 28 playoff format. I wanted to get your thoughts on that. I thought that was interesting, and I wanted to hear, your case as to why you think that will or will not work.
I think that'll be a stupid idea. I think the NBA needs to stop making these changes. If we do a 2018 format, we might have some crappy matchups. Like for example, okay, let's do one. If we do a 20 to 30 team matchup, then we'll have some garbage matchups. Like for example, like the Bucks and the Warriors. Like who wants to watch that without Steph and Clay? Also, another bad matchup. You got the Raptors and the Timberwolves. I don't think that's a great matchup people really want to see. I'm just saying that that'll be too much though, and the playoffs will take longer. I personally think we should leave it the way it is. A 16 team playoffs. The East versus West. You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying? The East teams play each other, West teams play each other. We do a best of 7 to make it more fluent. If we do a 30-team matchup, we'll be having some really bad matchups, and it'll take too long. That'll be too much, though. So if I were the NBA, I would leave the format the way it is, or if you can consider do a best of 5 in the first round, like we did back in 2002. Back.
Okay. All right. Okay. Missing points. Sly, your turn, man. What do you think about Spencer Dinwiddie basically said that he thinks that the league possibly should go to a 28. Sly was out. Let me just wait for Sly to come back in. But G Money made some good points. And Watchful News actually made a good point himself right here. He says it's too much of a risk if superstars get injured, which is true. What G Money was saying, that I think the playoff format is going to go, it's number one, is the playoffs will be a lot longer. How does that affect free agency? I don't think it would actually push have to push the draft back. And let's say because we're in an Olympic year, for example, what would that do to the Olympics if we had a longer playoff? And then it's think about how that affects. I was really looking forward to doing Olympic games this year, and possibly the players that have already committed. What would that do to, players who have played in the playoffs and all that mileage is on their body? Now you're risking injury. So, but what I'm going to say is, I'm going to give my opinion. Here's the thing. This all sounds fun when you look at it in theory, because you're like, wow, you're trying to create college and all this kind of stuff. And it sounds great because now other teams, from this point, I look at it from this perspective. Teams have an opportunity. This is how I'm looking at it from that perspective. Teams would have an opportunity to play even though that they're bad, right? So that would be the good thing. And it's teams that usually don't sniff the playoffs would actually get an opportunity to play in the playoffs. Maybe this would influence players to play harder, and they would want to go deeper, and who knows? But here's the problem. The issue with that is, one, G Money talked about, is how long that's going to be. And also the NBA is doing way too much to try to change things. And this is why I said that this is why the NBA is not as good as it once was, because Adam Silver is tinkering with too many things. I mean, look, he tried to eliminate conference play just a few years ago. And LeBron said, no, that's not a good idea. Well, the reason that I got mad at LeBron was because he knew that his finals record was going to be in streak as to how many finals he can go to. So, but I agree, though, that's a lot for players. And the thing is, you have to also think of travel. How is this playoff format going to be? If you're thinking of a one and done, that's a lot of travel for all these rounds that you're trying to go through. Would there have to be all of these things have to start to change. And then I feel like that's just a lot for the players. Like that's a lot. And you trying to tinker with that just makes it a lot to change for a 2018 format. So I think that's just doing too much. So travel, so the travel, a lot of players would be jet lagged. How much practice time are these guys going to have? That's going to eliminate practice time also. So they're really not going to be able to prepare for that. And like I said, it always just depends on the years. Like if we're in Olympic play, like I said, how does that affect free agency? Like, does that have to be pushed back, the NBA draft? And like I said, since we're in Olympic year 2020, and that possibly might have happened, let's say that the Olympics do happen. If the Olympics do happen, then, who's really going to commit? Because they're going to be too tired to play. So I would look at the players that are like more so that were injured and then they get to play, they have an opportunity. But then it's like with all the other guys who are in the playoffs, then you risk injury going into next year, especially if you're a team that's trying to win an NBA championship. You don't have your best player to start the season because they're either too tired or they're too injured to be able to help your team. It's going to be a problem. So I just feel like that Adam Silver trying to be this guy that's just doing all this stuff and be doing too much, I think is really going to hurt. And actually, I'm actually going to do one more topic after this, but Sly, what are your thoughts on what Spencer Dinwiddie said on the NBA trying to go to possibly, because of this whole COVID-19, moving to a 28? So every time he tries to come in, it's like it gets cut off. But yeah, like I'm saying, man, I don't think. All right, Sly's back.
Okay.
All right. So Sly, what are your thoughts, man, on Spencer Dinwiddie said? He said yesterday that he feels that the NBA could possibly go to 2018 college playoff format, considering with this whole COVID-19, issue. What are your thoughts on him saying that this should go to the college playoff format? What would be the good, and then what would be a bad about that? Your thoughts?
I mean, you got to give like the teams a chance that's trying to fight for that 8th spot. In my opinion, I like it in a way. Like, get rid of the teams that's not in playoff contention. Like, if you're not in playoff contention, then like teams like the Cavaliers, the Bulls, like the Timberwolves. Like, if you joking around, you not trying to be, you rebuild mode. Okay, cool. Leave them out of it. But the team that's in it, I think it should be like a good college format. Like, have the West against the East, and but the thing is, though, I mean, wouldn't that cost the league money? Will come out of travel, because it would be crazy if you got like, okay, the Thunder have to play the Raptors in the playoffs and stuff like that, or the Celtics, they playing the Nuggets, and they got to travel all the way from Denver to Boston for a 7-game series. You might have to mount that down like a 5-game series, like how it was back in the day, where the first round, like, all right, best of 5 first round, or best out of 3. Because back in the day, as my pops, will tell me, what I'm saying, like best out of 3 the first round, and then best out of 5 second round, and then you go, best out of 7 for the conference finals and the finals. So you might have to do it like that to make it interesting and chop things down. But if you're going to do it West versus East to get the best out of the best, you have to chop down the games due to travel.
Indeed, man, I agree with you, because I think what's going to have to do is that if you're going to also do that, you're going to have to also think about the regular season. You might have to cut regular season games down for that too, because then it's like if you're going to play 82 games, like I said, that's going to cost the league money because of all that travel, like you were saying. And then it's like with some of these teams, it's like the teams that are pretty much rebuilding, just keep them out of it, because it's not going to be interesting. Like G-Money said, nobody wants to see a bad matchup when it's like you already know that team's going to be one and done like that. It was going to be like, what was the point of putting that team in the playoffs? Like, so people really need to think. It's like you want the best matchups. You want people interested, because Adam Silver, what you're trying to do, you're trying to gain viewers. If the team was interested, then you put them in there, okay? And that could bring in a new level of fans to come in, even people who don't watch. That would bring them very interesting. But it's like, don't put teams that that are not going to be able to compete. And then it's like, it was just a waste of time. Next thing you know, your ratings are down, because remember, historically, the first round is usually not the most watchable. It's usually the later rounds from second round conference finals on to the finals are the most watchable, where you get more viewers. Like, if you really want to make the first round interesting, make sure that the teams that are fighting for the playoffs, make sure that they're in there. But like I said, travel, scheduling, and then you got to think about the games. We got to think about injuries. Like I said, lack of practice time, all those things play into factor as to why this thing might not work. But like I said, from a standpoint of teams fighting for a playoff spot, especially when you look at the Western Conference, it'd be a good idea. But it's like there's more bad East teams than there are West teams. So that's why I like it. From that aspect, it wouldn't make sense. All right. So we're going to start with you, Sly. And this is going to be the last topic of the day. And I'm going to do more future lives. And like I said, I appreciate both of you guys and Anthony L., even though, he had to leave. I appreciate you guys for being on the panel, man. This is great. And I want to continue to do more of this stuff, man. I got to get more of you guys on here. Like Jay, Watchful News, man. If you want to come through, definitely pop on the lives. I would love to get your insights next time when I do this. But last question for both of you guys. And we'll start with you, Sly. And this is an obvious one, but again, I want to get your thoughts. Should the NBA continue this season if it was to start mid-June to August, or should we cancel it and start fresh for next season?
Man, I feel like they should continue with June going to August, because at the end of the day, it's just like it was a momentum. People was going on, and these players got something to fight for. They got something to play for. And if you're going to go into next season, then like it was almost like this year was a waste, and no one wants to feel like their job was a waste. These guys, at the end of the day, they're employees. They're high-paid employees, but at the same time, they're employees. They work for an owner, and they work for the general manager and the coach employees too. And everybody wants to feel like their work was credited, what meant something. Everybody wants to feel like what they did had purpose. So I feel like they should continue with and give these guys some purpose. And I'm kind of really strongly agreeing with what Spencer Dinwiddie was saying, like make a college format. The only thing is condense the games. And I say it like this, probably like June, play some games where it's like, okay, I think they should wild card the guys who trying to make eighth, just to get it out the way, like the ninth, like the top 10, the eighth seed, like the 10th seed to the eighth seed that's trying to get in, like the Pelicans and Grizzlies and Kings. Y'all duke it out, wild card that, y'all get that out the way. Then whoever the last standing now, that little seating, let's start the playoffs. And like same day in the East, between the Wizards and the Magic, y'all duke it out. Once y'all get that over with, then let's just go like head-to-head matchup and get the playoffs over with and get this over with August. Because at the end of the day, we still have some more basketball left, and we still have more suspense. And I feel like it's going to be extra suspenseful on the fact of not only LeBron James at his age is getting rest, Chris Paul's getting rest for his injuries. Jimmy Butler's been banged up a little bit. He's getting rest for his injuries. It's going to make everybody stronger. The thing is, who's going to be more focused after all this? Who's really training? Who's really watching film? Who's really putting their craft over the adversity of what's going on in the current America right now, in the current world, actually, in the world? Like, who's really putting their craft forward? Because R.I.P. Kobe. If this was Kobe, man, if Kobe was out here playing his prime, Kobe would be worried about stuff health-wise, but he'll be in that lab. He'll be like studying people. He'll still be studious about the game. And he'll be real anxious to really like show, okay, how can he just ambush the whole league? Just ambush everybody, like wake up, you know what I'm saying? I want to see who's going to be that cup of coffee, just wake up the whole league and be like, yeah, this is what we were working on while y'all was just playing video games, bringing chicks over, going to the club, messing around, probably get high a little bit. Like, who's really a student to the game? I want to see it. So, yeah, they should continue it. Yeah.
Yo, I feel you, man. I love that line you did at the last minute, man. That's a fact, man. You be seeing dudes, man, pull out that Hennessy, man. Yo, getting VIP section, man, getting lit, getting crunk. Yo, for real. Next thing you know, having them little bowl parties and stuff like that, and then they come out and not even focused, man. I feel you on that. That's a fact. Just leave that for the off season if you win, or if you get knocked off early. You got all the time to party after that, man. It's about trying to win out here, man. It's winning first, party later. Go ahead, G Money, man. Give your thoughts, man.
I think that the NBA should continue the season because it's like all these teams work their butt off to bring glory to the city. And if you just cancel the season, it's like it was like what Sly said, it'll be a waste of time. I personally think they should continue the season to allow players to have more chemistry with each other and to have a playoff to determine the winner. Like look at team, and here's what I think. I don't fully agree with teams just I don't agree with the game when you have like the Pelicans and the Grizzlies duke it out. I don't think that will be fair because Memphis is 3.5 up on New Orleans, and I know 4 games up I think on New Orleans, and 3.5 up on Sacramento and all that. In my opinion, this is just what I think. I am one of the favorites to think that you should just start the playoffs because it's like Washington's 5.5 back of Orlando. Okay, they're not making the playoffs. I think you should allow teams who deserve an A seed. Like, listen, I want to see the Pelicans in there. I want to see the Spurs or whatever. I like that. But the Grizzlies are really electrifying to watch, and I believe they can post the most challenge out of the Lakers because remember, Memphis could play some D. They're very good when it comes to half-court defense, and they're very quick though. New Orleans is a very good offensive team, but they're a terrible defensive team. San Antonio, Aldridge and DeRozan are very inconsistent in the playoffs, and DeRozan is scared of LeBron for some reason. For Sacramento, listen, that team, they're fun to watch, but they're not very high IQ sometimes. Sometimes Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, but Donovan try to do too much. So in my personal opinion, I would just go straight to the playoffs and let teams duke it out. Because look at the amount of good playoff matches we have so far. All right. Let me bring up the standings, okay, guys? Like for example, if we get like a Heat Pacers first round matchup, you got two tough teams going duke it out though. Miami's great at home but bad on the road. Indiana, Oladipo's coming back. So Bones has had a very underrated season all-star year. That will be a good series though. If we get like the Celtics and the Sixers, again, both teams could lose in the first round there. Because think about it, both teams are great at home, but they're mediocre on the road. And Boston has more of a system than Philadelphia. Philadelphia is just inconsistent because they don't know how to use their lineups well, and they don't know how to use their talent. That's the problem. The Sixers, they're great at home, but going 29-2, but on the road, they're 10-24. They had a horrible loss to the Warriors, bad loss to the Cavs, the Hawks. It's like Philadelphia is just not consistent on the road. Another great matchup in the West, and it's like the Clippers and the Mavs. That would be a very good first round matchup. And both teams could lose in the first round there because the Mavericks, you have two guys in KP and Luka who can take over the game at will. And for the Clippers, you have one guy in Kawhi Leonard who can dominate on both sides of the ball. But I have questions about the other guys comes to the Clippers. And another great matchup would be the Nuggets and the Rockets. We have a high octane offense in Denver. In Houston, my fault. And a good defensive squad in Denver, though. The problem I have with the Nuggets is that they don't have the identity. They're just too inconsistent. They can beat the Lakers one game, but then lose to the Warriors the next game. Another game, they can beat the Rockets, and then in the next game they can lose to like the Cavaliers twice. Like that's just ridiculous, though. I think the Denver-Houston matchup will be fun, though. And then another matchup is the Jazz and the Thunder. Like on Wednesday, they were supposed to play each other in OKC, but we all know what happened with the Rudy Gobert situation. That series could go either way. You have Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Gallinari, who have stepped it up this year, versus a Jazz team who's kind of been inconsistent this year against a young Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert. I know the guy's a blockhead for allowing the coronavirus to happen, but he is a beast down low. So I just think they should just leave the playoffs the way it is because I know things could change, but let's be realistic though. In my opinion, the 8 teams who are in the playoffs now, they're probably going to stay where they are by the end of the season. Because it's like, even though I would like to see the Pelicans or get into the playoffs, I just think that team would get killed against the Lakers because they can't play defense. The Grizzlies have a shot against the Lakers because they can play D and they play up tempo. That's what I'm saying, though. So if I were Adam Silver, I would allow the regular season to just get canceled and go straight to the playoffs, because now you have more teams who get rest, get practice to get used to each other, and only have one opponent to focus on and stay healthy though. So I just think that Adam Silver should really just go straight to the playoffs and get rid of the whole regular season. Because what's the point playing the regular season if the same 8 teams we're going to see now in the playoffs are going to be the same 16 squads, that we're going to see by the end of the regular season? So that's just my opinion. I think they should just cancel the regular season and go straight to the playoffs.
So before I give my opinion, sorry, I was on mute. G Money made some great points. There's some I kind of disagree with, but you did make some really good points. Let me just go into the chat real quick before I give my opinion, and then we close out the show. So shout out to Washville News, who is a new sub, and Washville News, make sure you share the stream and let others know about the channel, but I appreciate you. He says, J.R. Smith, if J.R. Smith could have popped a bottle of white Henny coming off the O lane and Braun slipped down 4 steps, changing the fabric of the record books forever. Now we'll never know. Maybe Kyle Kuzma would. I mean, hey, man, LeBron got his Amber Rose. I mean, but that's if Kyle changes his hair again. But I see what you're saying, though. He probably could come back for that one. So, And Anthony says, I'm back, y'all. Be listening to commentating in the chat. No doubt, man. Shout out to Anthony L, man. And I appreciate you being on the stream. And definitely welcome back anytime, brother. All right, so my thoughts on this, and we're going to close out the show. So, obviously, I'm in agreement with Sly, and I'm in agreement with G Money. They need to pretty much continue the season. I mean, if we look at it from many aspects, the anticipation of the fans for when sports comes back is going to be great, especially with basketball. Also, if you look at the sports news, it's going to be great for them because they get to talk about topics and they get to run their narratives as usual on the sports shows. So that's going to be great for them because let's face it, now that there's no NBA season, they have nothing to talk about. But see, for those of us who watch the game, we can always find something to talk about. See, they can't because all they do is focus on the same topics every single day. And look how miserable they are. Skip Bayless just came out on YouTube and he was on his Twitter account and he basically said how miserable he has felt and he's never felt this miserable ever before because there's no sports. But also we know that he makes his living off of talking about LeBron. It's the same thing of how Shannon defends LeBron, right? And how much he hates on him, right? So it's a yin-yang love and hate. So the fact that and Nick Wright, or should I call him Gonzo, who doesn't get to talk about LeBron every day. See, it's crazy how something like this forces the media to not talk about something that they'll talk about every single day, Monday through Friday. It's crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, us real sports fans who actually watches the game and watches basketball, we can always find something to talk about. And I'm actually going to have another topic that I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And I think you guys will find this one also very interesting. And we're going to kind of do it fantasy-wise. It's going to be really good. All right. But, like I was saying, also, though, a lot of fans that have been missing about basketball, you don't think that they're going to want to be glued to their TVs and they can't wait for the season to get back started? Oh, they're going to absolutely want it because they haven't had basketball. I mean, think of the people who kind of, do these legalized, gambling type of things and all that. They kind of miss it too. So, there's that. But here's where I kind of disagree. Now, I understand what you're saying, that you feel like the playoffs should get started because you feel like that's the way that the playoff matchups are probably going to be by the end of the season. But here's the problem. We're depriving the teams that are fighting for, if you even specifically look at the West, do y'all remember? You saw the way that the Grizzlies played against the Magic when I did that game, and you were there, G Money, when I did that game.
Okay, that 17-point lead, yeah.
Okay, and that happened. Okay, things like that happen. But the Pelicans. So on Wednesday, when the games got canceled, and remember that the Pelicans and Kings were getting warmed up. Remember, the Pelicans and Kings are 2 teams that are fighting for that 8th and final playoff spot that the Grizzlies currently hold. And I said that the Grizzlies, they're a game under 500 because they were kind of losing a little bit. And they just came off of 4 or 5 game losing streak. They lost 4 of their last 5 before they kind of get back to their winning wins a little bit before they lost to the Magic. But it's taking away the Pelicans and the Kings and their ability to fight for that last playoff spot. Now, Sacramento got off to a terrible start. And yeah, Buddy Hield has been very inconsistent. But if people have been watching my live streams as of late, notice how well he's actually been playing better. And if you look at his shot selection, and also the Kings are actually playing much better basketball than they have been pretty much all season. I was looking forward to see how they were going to go against the teams down the stretch. Also, the Memphis Grizzlies have the toughest schedule between them, the Pelicans, and the Sacramento Kings. They have the toughest schedule. They're playing playoff teams throughout. And the Magic are probably one of the weaker teams that they played. And look, they blew a 17-point lead that they should have clearly won. They should have clearly won that game, and they blew that one. So, and then the Pelicans, yeah, they're a very good offensive team. They're fun to watch. Zion is doing the thing, impacting, and notice that he's going to get a lot of credit if the Pelicans make the playoffs. And notice that Brandon Ingram has balled his ass off from start to finish, but because Zion's impact, Zion's probably going to get more credit than what Brandon Ingram should get. And then also Lonzo Ball has actually been playing better as well. Josh Hart has been playing great. I mean, so it robs the Pelicans and the Kings a chance to fight for those last playoff spots. And I kind of agree with the slide. You could kind of have one of those things where you could kind of duke it out. It actually will be more interesting for the viewership. I mean, think of it. You have one of those little one-game playoffs or something if two teams were to be tied, and then for the fight for that last eighth and final playoff spot, I think it brings more drama and more excitement for whoever has to play that one seed, at the start of the playoffs. I mean, if the eight teams are set, they're absolutely set. We keep it traditional, obviously, like that. But because also remember, tiebreakers they kind of really do kind of play a role. If a season series was tied 2-2 and the two teams had the same exact record, I would duke it out, like to see who gets that eighth and final playoff spot. But even in the regular season, because if you remember, and G Money, this, when the Pelicans and the Thunder, and this was the time that this was 2015. Kevin Durant missed 55 games with that broken foot. And the Pelicans won the season series, and they had the same exact record. They won 3-1. Let's say the Thunder tie at 2-2. We could have possibly had a one-game playoff to decide who gets that eighth and final playoff spot between those two teams.
But don't forget, the Thunder and the Pels had the same record that year, winning 45 games. And I remember that game. I think AD hit a game-winning 3 to win the season series. So if we do a what if, all right? If that game goes to overtime, say the Thunder win that game, OKC would have gone to 8 seed. They will be playing Golden State. Maybe the Warriors don't sweep the Pelicans. Maybe the Warriors don't sweep to go to the second round. Who knows?
So also, I got to mention this, though, and I was just thinking about this. Think about this. Look how much time it will give certain players that are injured to get healthy because of this whole COV thing. Mm-hmm. Do we forget about that? Now, listen, I know what some people are going to say, and I know you said this, G-Money, already. This guy that has an Achilles injury should try to come back next year. But let's say he's feeling healthy enough and decides he possibly may want to play for the playoffs. Think what that will do to Brooklyn Nets fans. That would be crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, Kevin Durant says, I feel healthy enough that I'm ready to play. Now, you're taking here's the thing. If they continue regular season games, KD has a little bit of time to kind of get himself into a little bit of basketball shape by the time he comes back. And remember, his game is not predicated on athleticism. It's on skill. So skilled players, they can last a long time when it comes to in terms of KD. He doesn't play above the rim. KD's about the mid-range, being able to. Now, the key thing with KD is he's going to be able to push off on his drives and all that. But I honestly think KD, to me, it's possible that he'll be just fine. So I think that Kevin Durant factor is something really big. And even look at it this way also. Imagine if the Warriors were in playoff contention, and imagine if Klay Thompson all of a sudden gets to come back too. Imagine if the Warriors were a playoff team this year and Klay Thompson is recovering from the injury and he happens to come back. Those are two teams right there that kind of get added into the mix. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what I'm going to say about LeBron James. This might not benefit. See, what hurts is practice time because everybody has to kind of stay stationary. So you get to work out. But the thing is, your chemistry is going to be really off by the time that these guys come back if they happen to continue the season. So this is where that can actually have bearing an issue because of that. But it's true. I I think with some of these players that are not healthy, like I look at Embiid and Simmons, that gives them more time to get right for the playoffs, for them too, to get healthy. But you're still right, G Money, that they still have issues though when it comes to their team. I mean, it's coaching, leadership is another issue that they have. They don't really have a true leader. I feel like that's a mentally soft team over there in Philadelphia as well. So with other things, but let me just go to Jay real quick because he says maybe 10 teams in each conference. 10 at 9 plays a 1 or 3 game series. Then the winner plays the 8th seed, a 1 or 3 game series. Then the 16-team playoffs again. Little college tournament with NBA playoffs. But here's the thing: as good as that sounds in theory, that's the problem. That's just
that's way too confusing in my opinion.
To see the NBA would have to kind of figure that out on how to do that, like if they were to do that. But I think for me, like they definitely should continue the season. I think they need to cancel Olympic play because I think that it's going to affect going into next year. If they're going to do Olympic play, then the season is going to have to start possibly like in January. See, that's the thing with this whole COV situation. It's going to push a lot of things back. If we're going to have basketball, they need to finish the season. I think just going into the playoffs, we're going to see a lot of rusty. We're gonna see teams like if they were playing in the lockout. So you want to have the regular season for teams to be able to get their chemistry going. They'll be able to practice. They'll be able to get themselves in shape. And that because the thing is with the time being, not a lot of guys are going to be in shape. So I think starting the playoffs, it's going to affect a couple of players. And the thing is with the veterans, obviously they need their rest, but they're obviously going to need their practice time too. So that's why I think that the regular season should be focused on, and they should definitely finish that out so that they're able to focus on their scouting reports and how to prepare for the teams in the playoffs. So I think that that's really important, So, that's pretty much like my opinion on things. And so let me just look at the little comments real quick, and then we will pretty much end this stream. Shout out to Washington News. He says, peace, fam. Great show. Good topics. And definitely come back. I would love to have you on the stream one of these days. And Anthony said, had you spoken on the possibility of KD? And we did do that. If it does resume in a couple of months, he has time to get healthy. And like I said, we just saw Jay's comment. So, ladies and gentlemen, this was a good one. I definitely thoroughly enjoyed this stream. I want to thank G Money. I want to thank Anthony L. I want to thank Sly for coming in, and for people who are able to chime in the chat. Shout out to Washington News who subscribed to the channel. I appreciate you. Thank you for being a new subscriber. G Money, the floor is yours. Close out the show. Let everybody know, and I'm gonna close it out on the back end. So go ahead, G Money. Anything you want to say to the people out there?
To me, I wish the NBA came back. The coronavirus has to go away. It's like it's ruined a whole lot of stuff. Many people are suffering. No March Madness, that's canceled. It was supposed to happen tomorrow. Because of what happened with Rudy Gobert, then it's not going to happen. Then, even baseball is being pushed in mid-May. So I'm just saying that the coronavirus needs to go away. And word of advice for you guys, watch what you eat, okay? Because I heard that the coronavirus happened because some people ate infected bats. That's what I heard, though. Always watch what you eat. And if you're at a restaurant, make sure the food that you give to us is clean and fresh, though. Because it's like, because of that, look what's going on now. And if I were the NBA to me needs to start the season regardless. I would not cancel the season because it's like you don't want players to put all their hard work for nothing. So if I were the NBA, bring back the season, though. And Charles Barkley, I hope he's okay. I hope he doesn't have the virus. I think guys like Christian Wood, Emmanuel Mudiay, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, I think these guys will be fine, though. But I just hope that the coronavirus goes away because it's really caused havoc into not only the sports world, but in our lives. So just stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face too much, and just, stay healthy.
Dang, man. I wish this guy would have came sooner, man. He just checked in, man, and I'm just about to close the show. Shout out to my main man, my partner in crime. Shout out my man D, the Godfather Jefferson. Damn, dude, you came late, bro. I'm closing out the stream.
I know. When I just came backstage, I looked up. I was like, damn, Louis been on for 2 hours or something, bro. sleeping like a baby, bro. You know, my little issue I'm going with, just to let everybody know, I'm not really sick. I just have I caught a sepsis infection over a year ago, and it nearly killed me.
Thank God you're safe, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and it nearly killed me. I was bedridden for almost 4 months, but what happened is the after effect it causes me stamina issues. So I fucking sleep like a baby, like literally sleep like a baby. You know how babies eat and then fucking 2-3 hours later they sleep. That's what happens to me. And I woke up and I was like, oh shit, Louis on, let me go jump on. But that's all right. It's always more times, bro. I'm getting stronger and getting my stamina endurance back, and y'all gonna get the old D back soon enough, man. Because I used to stay on YouTube. Everybody that know me know I was on there 14 hours a day.
Oh man, this dude D, man, he eats, breathes, sleeps YouTube, man. That dude stays committed, man. And like I said, yo, I'm glad you want to stay here. D, make sure to come tomorrow, because what we're gonna do, and I'm gonna mention that. So like I said, shout out to D Jefferson for those. Shout out to Sly. Jay says it was a nice panel. Appreciate that. And Sly says, I appreciate being on the live stream for real, for real. He loves it, and he'll comment in the chat. No doubt, man. Appreciate that, man. This was, like I said, and Jay says, what's up to you, D? And he says, just continue to get better. And so, guys, tomorrow, I'm doing two things. Number one, I'm going to be updating you on what's going on in the NFL, and the NFL actually changed their playoff format. So I'm going to talk about that in the live stream. That's number one. And number two, we're going to come back and do an NBA live stream. Check this out. What we're going to do is we're going to do the current standings of both teams in the NBA in the East and the West. And guess what? We're going to play a little devil's advocate and see, if we were to do the matchups, who would get to the finals and who would win if the playoffs were to start today. So we're gonna tinker with that a little bit. So we're gonna do both conferences, 8 from the East and 8 from the West. So we're gonna pretend like we're gonna do our own little NBA playoff bracket tomorrow and see who would we pick as our NBA champions.
So kind of like a March Madness a little bit, right?
Oh, that's awesome, bro. Because I just put a video up when Silver announced that they were shutting the NBA down. I had just put a video up that day, and I went live. I went live on somebody's live, and I didn't hear the announcement. So people was like, the NBA season shut down, but it was based on what you're talking about. So I already got a lot of info in my head about that, man. We're going to
awesome.
I did research on that shit already and everything, but Gideon, you gonna be there tomorrow, bro?
Yeah, I'll be there. I can't wait to play this game with you. Kind of like
good, bro, because I never, like, I've been wanting to get on live with you, dog. So I'm definitely there tomorrow. I've been waiting to get on live with you.
Me too.
I no doubt, man. And so D, you missed it, man. We had Anthony L on here, and then we had Sly. He was also on here. So so the 5 of us could, we could pretty much come on. We could come on in tomorrow, man. And I think this will definitely be a little live stream. Hopefully, get more people to come through.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be what's up, bro. Make sure you hit me up. Just call me or text me, dog, and let me know. I'm there for sure. I'll set up alarm so my ass will be woke.
I no doubt. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is your boy Louis back with another one. Appreciate you. Shout out to Chen Smoke who just checked in. He says, what up? Shout out to my man Chen Smoke in the building, man. Spurs fan. And like I said, make sure y'all pull up tomorrow, man. And Chen says, shout out. He said, what up, D? He says, shout out.
My brother Chen. What's up, dog?
That's right. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for coming through. Shout out for D for coming into the back end. Appreciate that, brother, like no other, man. Shout out to G Money. Shout out to Slash. Shout out to Anthony L. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Maze. Shout out to Watchful News coming in the chat. I appreciate everybody for coming through on this live stream. All right. And like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be doing NBA playoff format. We're going to play devil's advocate as to see who our picks would be for not only going through each round, but then who will make it to the finals and who possibly wins finals MVP. If you even won, you could even throw out some numbers out there, see what they do, man. And like I said, we're going to look at it at least. We're going to see how this impacts a legacy standpoint with some players. So this is going to be a real good one. Make sure y'all come with your info, come in with that heat, come in with that knowledge, because I think we're going to have an interesting topic debate. So closing it out from G Money to D Jefferson to everybody in the chat. This is your boy Louis with another one, Louis Sports Network. Make sure y'all like, subscribe. Make sure y'all share the stream. As always, you already know, count it with your chest 3 times. Live, laugh, love. Thank y'all for watching. Deuces. Everybody stay safe with the COVID-19. And like I said, man, we'll be back with another one tomorrow. Make sure y'all come on this channel. Salute to everybody, man. Deuces. I will see you guys tomorrow, man.
You
Have a
too.
wonderful rest of the night, everybody.
You too. Stay safe and stay healthy, bro.